get started in just 1 minute.
And who is this glamorous lady in front of me? Jesse, is that you?
Yes, it is.
Oh boy. Hi.
What a Yasil.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Good evening, everyone. I am Andrew Ridgey. I was the first vice chair until I again became the interim chair. So it's nice to see everyone and hope everyone had a wonderful summer and ready to get back into things. So good to connect. I've spoken with many of you, but if I haven't, nice to see you as well as members of the public. So we are back remote. As many of you know, we thought we were going to have one of our first hybrid meetings, but first the, mayor and then the governor extended the executive order for the open meetings law to allow us to hold our meetings remotely. This executive order goes until September 27th. Who knows if it will be extended once again, but I do know that Elizabeth Caputo and other folks on the in-person and remote task force
An example?
have had some.
70%.
Mute yourself, please, if speaking. Are working on scheduling another meeting for the in-person remote task force to further define some of the roles after we approved the resolution at the July meeting for hybrid meeting. So thanks again, Elizabeth and everyone for all their work on that. Usually this is the time for the chair report. It was a bit slow, but there was always stuff going on. So just wanted to welcome everyone back. I wanted to give a big thanks to everyone, the team at the office, Max, Jesse, Ashley. They've been really terrific. I know many of you get to work with them and helping with this transition. And really my goal as the interim chair is just a smooth transition to the next chair, the next executive committee, and really helping out however I can without any or many road bumps. And I know several of you have reached out to me on different matters. We're working diligently to work through them. Some of them may or may not kind of impact the board more long-term after I am out of the role of interim chair. So any decisions I make or try to influence as chair, we'll try to do the best to address them in a way that's effective and allows us to operate between now and then. But the goal is really to leave, the transition to the next chair and the next executive committee working with the full board and the community. So just as far as the agenda goes, we're going to get a quick update from Max, the district manager. We're going to have to then approve the minutes. Then we're going to turn it over to Josh Cohen, the chair of the elections committee, to get our nominations for our next chair and executive committee positions. Then we'll hop into the business session, and then we will get to the community session. We'll see as far as timing goes. We're hoping around 8 or 8:10 we'll get to the community session. I believe my fellow board member Christian will pop the link into the chat to allow members to sign up during the public session. Is that, or the community session? Is that correct, Christian?
Not exactly. We don't have a chat anymore. Somebody
Oh,
asked,
good.
I did put it on the, somebody asked a question about it, so I put it on, I answered it on the question. So if anybody looks at the questions, they see it there.
Excellent. Okay, and we'll keep reminding folks, as needed. And then we'll get the borough president's report followed by elected officials. And with that, again, just want to thank everyone, for being here. And I want to turn it over to our District Manager Max for a brief update.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrew. And I'll also add that we now have the speaker and elected sign up list on the homepage of our website. If anyone needs to sign up there, if they can't find it in the Q&A, you can go right to our homepage and it's right at the top. In addition, I want to thank Andrew very much for working so diligently and helpfully during this interim period. It's been great working with you, and I'm glad we have another month to go. And I really appreciate everything because it's been a very interesting, busy summer. Let's see, just a couple quick updates. One, we've reinstituted the CB7 newsletter, which Ashley leads and sends out on Wednesdays and Fridays. I think almost all of you are subscribed already, but if you aren't, just reach out to us and you can get the updates that Ashley sends out on Wednesdays and Fridays. Mostly neighborhood happenings, news updates, notices, that sort of stuff. The only other thing I have is CB7 is now using a software called Airtable, which allows us to track constituent service requests and other things more effectively. Airtable also is going to have an open access portal that we're going to integrate into our website, so that way members of the public, board members, and anyone that visits our website can then search resolutions and minutes. It's kind of an initiative that a couple boards are doing. We're going to be the second board in Manhattan to do this, and it's a way to be more transparent with our operations and our resolutions and agendas. I know some of you have told me that you use Airtable in your professional capacities, so I hope it'll be easy for you, but the interface we're creating is going to be extremely navigable for the public, regardless of your level of tech savviness, so you and members of the public can find resolutions and minutes as needed, as far back as however long we have them for.
Max, if I may just say that the newsletter idea the young lady has, I forget her name, I think it's excellent. I think it's really absolutely terrific.
Oh,
And,
thank you.
Yeah. You plug in and you find out what's going on around you, because remotely you can't. So I don't know. I just think it's just a wonderful piece that has been added.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I give all the credit to Ashley for that, because
Yes, indeed.
pretty diligently on that
Absolutely.
weekly. So I
So thank you.
appreciate it. And I think that's it. That's all I have. And we can move the agenda.
Excellent, thank you. Yes, and I am one of those people that said Airtable is great. It's a great, easy interface and a great way to be able to share information. So that's great. And thanks for the leadership on that. It's really nice to see CB7 really at the forefront of kind of advancing the way community boards are operating and providing more information quickly in an easy, searchable fashion to the community. So with that, we need to vote to approve the minutes from the previous board meeting. I presume I could look.
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Opposed? Abstain?
Aye.
Aye, I heard one. Who is that, Polly?
Yeah.
Okay,
I was I too. I was a little slow.
all right.
Wait, are these I for abstaining or I for, we're in the abstention?
You went too fast through.
No, I think, no, did we need, I'm sorry, did we need a full vote? Do we need to count them, or is,
I think we need to count them.
okay, so, okay. All in favor?
Aye here.
I.
No, we need to raise our hands.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, but I'm having a problem. I'm on the phone, so I'm
Bev,
having.
are you, sorry, Bev, are you counting?
Yeah, we have 33 virtual hands, plus your vote, plus
I'm doing it by voice. Blanche.
Blanche. Okay, so are you voting?
Robert is also raising his hand.
Are you voting yes, Blanche?
Yes, yes, I am.
And Robert, are you voting yes?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And Madeline.
And Madeline, so that's 35 plus 3 is 38.
Great. Can we put those hands down? Thank you. Okay. Opposed?
Are there people who just didn't put their hands down.
I see one. Oh,
Okay, call opposed again.
okay. So opposed. Okay. I do not see any. Abstain? All right, you want to call the vote? Bev?
38-0-0-0.
Great, thank you. So next we are going to move on to the nomination of board officers for 2022-2023, and I will turn it over to Joshua Cohen, chairperson of the Elections Committee.
Hello, can everybody hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay, just making sure I'm on my phone. I apologize. I hope everybody had a great summer. Just to review, we're going to open up the nominations for the chair, vice chair, treasurer, and co-secretaries. And I'd like to, I guess, open up the nomination for chair.
So, Josh, I think
Yes,
it's a little difficult to hear you. Can you
I'm getting
repeat
very
that?
bad audio from that speaker. Very bad audio from that speaker.
Hang on, hang on. Let me.
Can everyone mute except Josh?
Is this better?
Yes, that sounded better.
Okay. I apologize. I'm in a little bit of an echo chamber. Okay, so I see Courtney had her hand up to make a nomination. Did I see that correctly?
Yeah, I nominate Beverly Donahue, Chair.
Okay, great. Do I get a second?
Second.
Great. Any other nominations? Holly, I see your
Yes,
hand up.
Congressman, I have my hand up. I nominate Sheldon Fine for the position of chair.
Great. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
I second. Okay, you got it.
Thank you, Robert. Any other nominations for chair? I can't see the hands, so if anybody has, just,
They're not.
okay. The nominations are closed for chair. I'd like to take nominations for vice chair, please. Andrew.
Oh,
I think you muted, Andrew.
Andrew, you're still muted.
And
I'm sorry, I'm unmuted.
That's
now.
okay.
I nominate Doug Kleiman for vice chair.
Do I get a second on Doug Kleiman?
second.
Second.
Great. Great. I see
Good.
Sarah's hand up for nomination for vice chair.
I'll nominate Melissa Rosenberg.
Great. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Great. And I see Linda's hand up.
I nominate William Ortiz for vice chair.
Great. Do I get a second for that?
I'll second that.
Great. Thank you, Robert. Any other nominations for vice chair? Barbara? You're
I
muted.
nominate Seema Reddy.
Okay. Any second for Seema Reddy for vice chair?
Second.
Yep. We have a second there.
Yes.
Linda, your hand is still up. You have another.
I second.
Okay. Any other nominations for vice chair?
Seema doesn't want to be vice chair.
Excuse me?
Seema doesn't.
Sorry, can someone, if you're not speaking, please mute yourself? Roberta, can you say that again?
I believe that Seema does not want to run for vice chair.
Okay. Well, she can withdraw her nomination if that's the case.
Is that something I should do now? As flattered as I am, Barbara, thank you.
You can do it. You can do it now. You can do it whenever you like.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to withdraw that. Thank you.
Okay. Seema's nomination for vice chair has been withdrawn. Any other nominations for vice chair?
Barbara Adler, your hand's still up. Did you have something?
No, I'm sorry. I just got distracted.
That's okay. Okay, so if there are no more nominations, we're going to close the nominations for vice chair. Now be accepting nominations for treasurer. Elizabeth Caputo, please.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Seema Reddy.
Okay. Do I get a second on that?
Yes, I second.
Okay. Any other nominations for treasurer?
Once, twice? Great, thank you. Nominations for treasurer have been closed. Now two nominations for co-secretaries. Roberta?
I'd like to nominate Daniela Abreu and Kevin Corte.
Excellent, thank you. Can we get a second on that?
I'll second. I'll second.
Thank you, Robert. Any other nominations for co-secretary? Going once? Looks like that's it. I'm going to close the nominations for co-secretaries. Just so everybody knows, we will ask each candidate to put up together a little bit of a written statement about themselves. Please keep it to under 500 words and have it to Max within 10 days so he can forward it to the rest of the board. And we will take the vote on the October 4 board meeting. Each candidate will be given no more than 5 minutes to speak on their own behalf. We will time this. And if there's nothing else with the election, say thank
Josh,
you.
may I ask one question?
Yeah.
I heard the joint 2 nominations for the co-secretaries. I didn't hear the acceptance individually of each candidate. Can I hear, has each one accepted the nomination?
Okay, can we get an acceptance, please?
Who are they again?
Seema and Kevin.
Actually, no, it's not SEMA.
SEMA was for treasurer.
I beg your pardon.
It's Daniela and Kevin. I don't believe they're here.
Excuse me, can we get it straight?
So Daniela and Kevin, are either or both of you here? I'm scrolling.
Well, they've been nominated and they've been seconded. So that's enough. Mark is shaking his head yes, that's enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if, obviously they could withdraw if they didn't accept.
Exactly. Exactly.
Shelley?
If in case one of them withdraws or both of them withdraws, there'll be nominations at the election meeting before
Correct.
the election.
Correct.
Those positions.
Ken?
Yeah, Josh, will there be an opportunity to ask questions of the candidates after their prepared remarks?
Well, I mean, that's not something that we've done. Were you, I mean,
We have. Oh,
is that something we've done in the past? I mean,
yes,
Yes, we have
or
done that.
we've had a separate forum sometimes.
No,
Which-
we've done it at the voting meeting.
So why don't I suggest, Josh and the election committee discuss this
We'll
prior
discuss that.
to the meeting, and yes, after the presentations, I believe candidates have answered questions.
right. And the last thing that I want to say is that the people who are elected in the positions will take those positions immediately following the election.
Okay. Josh, I don't know if you see, we have Shelley's hand raised.
Somebody needs to mute.
Yes, please mute if you're not speaking. And then Shelley, you just put, did you not want to speak? Okay, now everyone put their hands down. Seema.
I just have a quick question. So does that literally mean the secretaries will take over minutes mid-meeting? Is that what typically happens?
Yes.
Okay.
No, normally the chair will immediately become the chair. And because Andrew is stepping down, become no reason why you couldn't. Normally, the people that are elected take over on November 1st, but because this is an unusual year, we can do it this way.
I see. Got it.
Wait,
Okay.
what is this week?
So
That everybody will
if you
take
wouldn't
over their
mind just
position
raising your hand if everyone can speak, but please just raise your hand. Okay. Are there any
Andrew, Blanche, I have a question of, I guess, Josh.
Okay.
And this is no doubt a reflection on me. In the revised bylaw.
I'm sorry, Blanche. If you are not speaking, please mute yourself.
I'm trying to speak.
No, we want to hear you. I'm just talking to the.
No, that's okay. The revised bylaws, and as I said, I'm sure this is my failure. Was it approved for one vice chair or two? I've lost track of that. I'm sorry.
One.
One. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Elizabeth Caputo.
Thanks. I just wanted to remind, and I think Max or Andrew, you can provide this information, just when the elections are being held, because I know it's not the first Tuesday of next month.
That's correct. Because of the holiday, we're going to be doing it on the first Monday of October, which is the day before.
Thank you.
Yes. I think that's the third, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Shay Adolph, please.
Yeah, can someone explain to me why the new officers are not taking their positions as they always have on November 1st? I don't know of any reason why that should.
Well, it was my understanding, because Andrew was interim, that it would be taken over immediately.
Well, we are voting on October, so they can take office on November.
Well, I mean, unless Andrew resigns and there has to be another interim, why wouldn't he just continue to
According
serve
to the bylaws,
November 1st?
Yes, Roberta.
And that wouldn't apply to the other positions.
according to the bylaws, the officers that are presently elected, term ends the end of October. Because Andrew is stepping down, the person that is elected chair on October 3rd, once the election is over, that person takes over as chair. The other officers serve until October 3rd. I mean, until October 30th, except we didn't have a treasurer, so now, and we don't have a vice chair. So we only have one vice chair and two secretaries, and they stay until October 30th.
Okay, fine.
Andrew, are you stepping down on October 3rd? Is that the understanding?
Correct. That was my understanding as interim chair. I would chair until a new chair is elected, which would be at the October meeting, and then they would take on the role.
Yes, okay, but the new chair is elected on October 3rd, but according to the bylaws, the new chair is elected October 3rd to take up the position on November 1st.
No, because.
Correct, except Andrew is stepping down, so we're making an exception for
Is
this
he
speaker.
stepping down, or is he following what he believes to be the bylaw?
The bylaws state that if the chair steps down, that when there is an election, if there's only a couple of months to the election, then the vice chair becomes the interim chair, and then at the meeting where the election takes place, the person that is elected chair becomes chair at that moment. Andrew returns to his role as vice chair, and he stays vice chair until October 30th.
Are we talking about 3 weeks here?
It's a little more, about 4 weeks.
Isn't that seems nonsensical?
Well, that's
why don't we do this? It was my intent and understanding, as it was last time when I was in the interim chair role, and perhaps there's some differences, that immediately upon the election, the newly elected chair takes over the meeting and takes over the role. If there's some question or confusion of how this will be implemented, especially related to please mute if you're not speaking. Thank you. If there are questions or concerns about that transition, specifically with the newly amended bylaws, Josh, why don't we go back with the committee and review it to ensure that everything does properly, but Blanche.
That sounds good. We can do that and get this
It was
information out
my
tomorrow.
intent to step down at that time. However, if anything changes based on the amended bylaws, we'll review. I just want to get to everyone else. I see Madeline had her hand up next.
Yes, I want to emphasize that that we are able to ask questions of the candidates. We have one candidate who's been here for many years, and then we have a new candidate that's only been here for a few. I think all of the new people don't know the history of these members, and I think we should be able to have an opportunity to question them so we can make a conscious effort to vote for the best person possible.
I think that's a very fair point, Madeline.
Thank you, Madeline. Polly Spain.
Yes, my question is, are we voting digitally or in person?
Well, currently the executive order goes through September 27th. So if it was not extended, we would vote in person or under the new, I guess hybrid model, or what you call it. But we do not know yet. Just like we didn't know until a couple of weeks ago that we would be permitted to meet again, remotely today. So I guess stay tuned.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Josh, I don't see any other hands, so I'll toss it back to you.
I just want to say thank you very much, and we'll be expecting everybody's written statements to Max within 10 days, please. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Josh, and thanks to the committee for their work on this. All right. So we're going to move on to the business session. First up, we have Youth Education and Libraries Committee. That's Blanche and Courtney Clark Metakis.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Can you hear me? Sorry. So
hear you.
I have virtually lost my voice this week, so I'm going to keep this nice and short so that it doesn't run out midway through. This is a resolution from our meeting back in June, and it reflects actually something, a meeting that took place in December of last year is where the process started. We had parents and neighbors from two school communities from in our district. One is PS 165, and one is 333. And they came to us, they both had construction projects in their schools that had been underway for many, many years. At the time, 333 was at more than 7, and 165 was about a decade. So obviously these are incredibly long-standing projects. They are obviously really important to finish, but they are incredibly problematic for the schools, for the students, and for the neighbors who live in the vicinity. So we did a couple of things coming out of that meeting in December. We instituted, we had them start joining Max's district service cabinet meetings, and we instituted once every 3 weeks. We were doing video Zoom updates on the projects to see how everything was going. And both of these were, I think, very helpful for both for kind of keeping tabs on what was going on, and I think helping us understand what else might be out there. The other thing that happened is we did a little bit of we wanted to understand some context of how much of an outliers were these two projects. And that data was incredibly hard to find, so we went out and got it ourselves. And the net result here, you can see, I won't belabor this. I'm sure you all have read it. But the bottom line here is that these were not representative. In fact, they were extreme outliers. Most projects of this type, the roof, exterior, and parapet, don't last 3 years. Only a few were lasting to 5. So these were real outliers. And therefore we said, you know what, we think it's totally reasonable to say that when these projects hit a certain point, they should be getting more attention. They should be getting more attention from us and the community board level, from elected officials, and they should be getting the type of attention that got applied after our meeting in December. So this resolution takes all of that into consideration and suggests that we call on all of the officials involved to put into place some of the things that we have been put in place in the last 6 to 9 months. So that means regular meetings between the SCA, local neighbors, the school parent community, regular SCA attendance at the district service cabinet, in addition to some of the updates, the greater transparency that we were seeing once we kind of started to put a flashlight on these under the microscope. So bi-weekly email updates that the SCA has started to do on these projects, including project timeline, worker hours for the upcoming period in which the key stakeholders, including the local community board, would be involved. So the idea here is making sure that projects that start to get delayed beyond what they were intended start to get some greater attention and transparency so that we can stay on top of it. And that's what this resolution is, and it passed unanimously in our committee in June, 7-0 to 0.
Great, thank you. Any board member comments? Seema.
I just wanted to thank both Courtney and Blanche because there was a tremendous amount of work that went into this resolution and to understanding how these projects fit in the context of all of SCA's projects in the city. It was just a lot of work and incredibly valuable.
Great, thank you. Doug?
Yeah, this is kind of a question and a comment. I generally support this personally. The question I have is this for ongoing projects within existing schools or any new projects? Is there any differentiation between an existing project that's being renovated or a brand new school, for example, if it was?
I think the idea here is that anything that's lasting greater than 3 years. When we did kind of the survey, we found that there were virtually, and with the assumption that these roof, exterior, and parapet projects were going to be some of the most extensive and therefore long-term. Virtually not very many. I'm going to go back and look at the stats up here. Only 8 in Manhattan, in the entire Manhattan that we found, had it up for more than 3 years. Only 5 had it up for more than 5 years, and we were the only 2 that had it up for more than 5. So I think the idea here being that instead of it triggering, it doesn't really matter whether it's new or existing, at the 3-year mark, the suggestion here is that's where it triggers greater oversight, communication, and transparency.
Okay, thank you for that. I am, in full disclosure, I'm involved in a new project, and I'm trying to determine whether I should declare myself ineligible. It is an SCA project, but I don't believe the timeline will be greater than 3 years. So I'll decide as we get to the
Very few were. That's the truth. I mean, in Manhattan, we didn't do the other boroughs, but in Manhattan, very few were.
Thank you. Miranda.
Oh, God, I mean.
I just have a question. Is this only referring to school projects that take more than 3 years?
Yeah, this is the SCA project. Yeah.
Okay, so not libraries as well.
Yeah, the school projects have all kinds of parameters that don't apply to other construction projects. For example, they can only do construction in the hours that the students are not there, which obviously limits them to a degree that is vastly different than other types of construction projects.
Thanks. Now we have Ethel, followed by Ken Coughlin, then Peter Sampson. Ethel, you're up.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow what Seema said, but to commend the efforts of this committee. It has been over time often very difficult for the community board on many issues to be able to participate, to keep track of many initiatives and often stoppages that occur in the Board of Education. And this has been such a lengthy process, and one in which I just again want to commend, and I think the committee and the stick-to-itiveness, and I would absolutely push, let's do this on for the Board of Education, because that's where there has been a great problem. We may learn more and do it for other city-sponsored projects, but let's move this and do this and be as clear as we can be that the community board is looking at this, and this agency had better get its act together and do it quickly.
Thank you, Ethel. Ken?
Yeah, Courtney, great resolution. Just do you know of any other community board that has asked for this?
No, it's interesting. I actually was talking to some of the education chairs in Community Board 9 and Community Board 10 over the summer. So I shared my spreadsheet with them. So we'll see what happens. But truly, we had 2 of the outlier projects. And I will say it was interesting because of this. We noted we had a couple other projects that were on the cusp. And so we were able to kind of go back to the SCA and our contact there and say, hey, where are we on those? What's that timeline looking like? And got answers really quickly, frankly, because we knew the question to ask. And then the other piece, I would just want to give a shout out to Max, because he has really been at the top of this and making sure people come to the district service cabinet meeting. And I think that really helps because it gives us, so those had kind of lapsed and that's now restarted. And it really gives us something to point to and say, listen, this is the place for you to report out. We can ask questions. We can kind of keep our fingers on the pulse of what's happening. So Max also deserves a huge bit of the credit here because it gave us something to actually send them to.
Great.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'd like to talk about this for a minute. I've done a lot of work for the School Construction Authority. We were one of the first architects back in 1989, and we did a huge number of schools, prototype schools, and the like. And one of the great things about that time was that we were able to finish the projects very quickly. In our neighborhood, in the community board neighborhood, on 94th Street and Amsterdam, and here on 89th Street, PS 166, these projects are going on for a very long time. The one on 94th Street has been in the works for maybe 7 or 8 years already, and there's no sign when it's going to be completed. It is true that the work has to go while the school is being used, but what I'm surprised at is that over the summer, there's very little work going on. Here at 166, there's not much work going on right now, and there should be, or there should have been in the last month or 2 before school begins. So it's a big issue, and it's really a nuisance for the neighborhood to go on this long.
Thank you, Peter. Arena.
Thank you. Thank you, Courtney and the committee, Blanche. I live, first of all, the resolution is excellent and so well detailed. And I live near Joan of Arc, and I'm astonished at how long this project has been underway. I do know that when the schools are open, they tend to work in the evenings. But as Peter said, there's been no action during the summer at all.
No.
I just had a couple of questions. When you were in conversation with SCA, did they indicate why this project has been delayed for so long? Did I miss that?
Yeah, no, it's in there, but I'll talk you through it. So first of all school projects have a delay built into them that are currently underway because of COVID. So that, let's just put a little asterisk on that, because that's something we would hope would not continue going forward, right? So that level of delay. But beyond that, 333, for example, its first contractor had to bow out and be replaced for financial reasons. So that slowed things down. And then I think there's inherently some of these projects are really complicated. Some of these, as Ira has reminded me multiple times in the course of this, certain types of architectural types of architecture, certain schools are more complex and complicated and have all kinds of things built in. Supply chain issues have played a role, but I do think some of it is also just about kind of making sure that everyone is aware of what the deadlines are, and so that we can see when things start slipping, what else can be done. So I think one of the things that they instituted at 333 was, like I said, that once every 3 weeks they're actually doing a Zoom call with the local neighbors to take questions and updates and respond to that. So I think it's a complicated answer to a complicated question, and there's a myriad number of reasons why, all of which don't explain how something gets to more than a decade long. It's just painful for everyone.
Thank you. Just a suggestion that perhaps, I know in the resolution, we're calling on the elected officials, but perhaps we can have them join us in sending letters to the school's chancellor and SCA, and getting behind this resolution, and even perhaps including the resolution and letters to the school's chancellor just to give it added weight.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, we definitely will be. I've talked to some of the elected officials already about this when we talked to them coming out of it in December. So I think now, once we have a passed resolution, I think that's a great point about circling back and making sure that we have their voices loud and clear on this. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thanks. We're going to go to Shelley, and then I think we should go to the public and call the question. Shelley, you're up.
I'd like to underscore Polly's suggestion, and also that it should be taken to Borough Board and perhaps supported by Borough Board. So there's a broader range of support, and that shouldn't be difficult.
Thank you, Shelley. I don't see any hands up.
Andrew, I just like to make a comment.
Oh, absolutely.
I just want to make it clear to everyone that this has been Courtney's baby. I thank SEMA et al. For all of those who have shared the resolution with the co-chairs, but this has been Courtney's baby, and I have been a silent but hopefully supportive partner of Courtney. But I want to make it clear, this is Courtney and whatever help she has had from Max. Okay?
And multiple other members, honestly.
Okay,
truly.
whoever.
We thank you all for your work. Any members of the public? No? All right, so we should call the question.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
There's
I'm in favor.
34 virtual hands.
Oh, we got 30. Oh, here, I'll come.
Blanche, yes, however, I'm counted.
Did you get Robert in there? I'm on my phone and it's a little,
All right, it's 35 virtual. Blanche is.
Now we have, people are still putting them up. Now we have 37 hands. So this is everyone voting in favor. Are your hands up? Please leave them. Okay. And then we have Robert.
Yes, thank you.
All right, we have 39 virtual hands plus Robert, Blanche, and whatever your vote is.
Which is yes.
Okay, that's 42. 42 yes.
42. Okay. Opposed? I don't see any hands or any. All right. Abstaining. Right. Not eligible. All right, Bev, you want to read out the vote?
42 to 0 to 0 to 0.
It passes. Thank you, everyone, for your work on this. And we are moving on to Transportation Committee. Andrew Albert and Howard Yaruss, you are up.
Thank you, Andrew. Resolution number 2 is a simple renewal approval of Carmel Cars base station at 2642 Broadway, which is near 100th Street. Not controversial. Nobody spoke in opposition to it, so it passed handily. So I would recommend approval of that.
I have a question about
Yes.
my eligibility to vote.
Yes,
As an,
Michelle.
as an attorney, I have represented for hire vehicle bases, and I still do. I have never represented this for hire vehicle base, but I think I should abstain in some manner.
It's
Do
not,
I
it's
have
not,
to?
it's not
You're
a
not
conflict.
required. Not
It's not a-
required.
No conflict.
None at all.
Okay, so I'll vote then. Thank you.
All right. Any
Call
other
the question. Call the question.
Call the question second?
all in favor?
Okay.
Aye. Robert, aye.
And I just got a message from Elizabeth. Her laptop just died, but she's voting in favor of some. She's still here. Is she back?
Laptop is back. So
Back.
I just wanted to make sure my vote was counted for your resolution, Courtney.
Okay. Oh, for my resolution. Never mind. I take it back.
So we'll add 1.
Yeah.
All right, we're at 38 virtual hands.
Blanche, yes.
Robert, yes.
Robert, yes. Blanche? Are you a yes?
Yes.
Okay, and Andrew, did you want to vote?
Yes, I'm up. I'm a yes.
So everyone else has their hand up virtually? So that's 40.
Great. Okay. Opposed? I don't see or hear anyone. Abstaining? I do not see or hear anyone. Not eligible. I do not see or hear anyone. Please provide the tally.
40 to 0 to 0 to 0.
Great.
Can we get the revised tally on the previous resolution? We added Elizabeth.
Oh, she wasn't there in the original. Well, that would make it 43, which then implies that 3 people didn't vote on the one we just did. But that's okay. If we add Elizabeth to the YEL resolution, it's 43 to 0 to 0 to 0.
Okay. And sorry, Bev, on just, can you just read the count out of what the Transportation Committee one more time, and then we'll.
Yeah, transportation was 40 to 0 to 0 to 0. And 3 votes have evaporated.
Okay. I'm sorry, was that bundled with the open street or?
No, that's by
Okay,
itself.
so, yep. Okay. So the vote carries.
Okay, Howard, do you want to take the next or do you want me to?
Why don't you do that one and I'll do the final one.
All right, so resolution number 3 is asking DOT, it's telling DOT we support their open street initiative for 103rd Street from Amsterdam to Riverside Drive. And we ask them to monitor it and create a pedestrian space and traffic calming measures so that it is a safe place for people to be. And that passed the committee 8-1 to 0 to 0.
Great. I'm sorry, I'm just looking, I'm looking at the form. Mine just has 1 for transportation, but not.
Yeah, that was the old form, Andrew. There were a couple of our resolutions that we voted on in June that did not make it to the special meeting in July. And so we got them put on. Christian was very nice and Max about putting them on our agenda because they never were voted on and they should have been.
Very good. Yes, and I saw that email change. So should this be, maybe I just have the wrong form. Should it be under new resolution 1 or is the form people are referencing to vote on?
It's resolution number 3 actually on the resolution sheet. And our next one and our last transportation one will be resolution 4.
Andrew,
Andrew,
you may have an old
recent
sheet.
resolution sheet.
Yeah, most folks seem to have the old sheet, obviously.
If I may.
Just to clarify for everyone, I'd sent an updated version out this afternoon.
Yeah, if I may, I updated the resolution sheet, so if your current resolution voting sheet doesn't show it, close it and open it again.
It was corrected.
Right.
Yeah, it's been updated.
So you just have to refresh.
Yeah, you have to refresh.
Okay, now, yes, now, okay, mine is updated. I'm sorry about that. Just want to make sure everyone has the.
Well, that's good. I'm sure you're not the only one, Andrew.
Great. Okay, sorry to interrupt there. So, do you have
So
any?
we're asking folks to approve this as we did.
And I see Shelley Fine's hand up.
Okay, so as a resident of the block and having consulted the Block Association and many other social and community agencies in the area, they're all in support of this, and as a very positive measure to connect our community across all types of lines and to provide calming for the traffic, which is so necessary on those blocks.
Excellent. Thank you, Shelley.
Yeah, I support the resolution. Robert here.
Got it. Arena?
I attended the meeting as a member of the Transportation Committee, and it was well attended, and there was a nice mix of community residents that spoke in support of this proposal. Older people, disabled people, young people. There were a couple of adolescents on the call speaking in support, which was quite nice. And also the presentation really touched on probably every issue that might come up. And they had the team that was there from DOT. They had answers for everything that anyone can anticipate. So you could tell that the proposal was well thought out. But I just wanted to say for those board members not in the room that most of the community present are in support of this proposal.
Excellent. Thank you. I did see there were two members of the public that had their hands up. Oh, I see John Pasquarello. I hope I got that right.
Go ahead, John. You can speak.
John?
I just gave him permission to.
John? We'll give you another 5 seconds. John, you there? All right, I saw. Oh, there you are.
Oh, very poor audio.
Oh, sorry, John. We
can't understand a word.
Sorry, John. We can't hear you. Maybe there was another person with their hand up from the public. I don't know if you wanted to speak, but it went down. If not, we can go to you and then come back to John. Yes, Wayne Duval.
Go ahead, Wayne. Wayne, you just have to click to unmute. We sent you a prompt.
How's that? Is that better?
There you are.
Hello. Hi, I'm Wayne Duval. I live on 103rd between Amsterdam and Broadway. I'm not sure how this impacts traffic or whatnot, but between Amsterdam and Broadway can be a very nefarious block. Under my window alone, I've had a shootout, okay? Guns blazing between cars. So my understanding is you'll have benches in the middle of the street and people can gather. It's not a great place between Amsterdam and Broadway to open up to the nefarious folks. It's not an easy street sometimes. And I'm not sure how this impacts traffic and deliveries and everything, but I know the folks in my building are very much against this. So I want to know what the answers are the DOT gave you in terms of the traffic and the monitoring and all that, because we're extremely worried about it. Yeah.
Andrew,
sure.
There was a great discussion of that, and the DOT representative and all of the representatives from the block were very much in favor of this. The question of traffic was specifically raised And the DOT said they'd carefully monitor the situation and make changes as needed. So it's not as if this isn't an issue that they're aware of. This is probably the greatest issue with any of these street improvements. They're in the position of they will monitor it and make sure that a problem doesn't arise. That was the answer that was given to us in the committee meeting.
Right, and let me just add that I had asked DOT at what point will vehicular traffic be notified that this is this kind of street, and it will be at least a block south on Amsterdam from 103. So by 102nd Street, maybe actually by 101st, because that's a westbound street, cars will be notified. That's where they should go if they want to go west. Because
deliveries and these kind of things have to
deliveries will continue to be made.
Is there a possibility that this could be from, say, the other side of Broadway to Riverside? Why does it have to be the entire street? Because the other
Actually,
side,
Wayne, some folks in the audience that day were asking for it to go all the way to Central Park West, believe it or not, or to Columbus. So this is kind of a.
Do you know where they resided? Where did they reside?
On 103rd Street, east of Amsterdam.
East of Amsterdam.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
I guess we just feel like
My wife.
Hi, Steve. I guess we just feel like we haven't seen the proposal. We just heard that this was a done deal, and maybe we just haven't been notified. But I mean, you know, we need cabs to be able to go there. We need to be dropped off in front of our building.
Okay.
That will not be impacted at
Hold
all.
on. Okay. Thank you, Wayne, and whoever else just spoke.
That was my wife.
Just let me interject. There still will be traffic on that street. It just will be more calm. It just will be slower. There'll be no impairment of the ability to deliver goods or to deliver people, for that matter.
If this doesn't work, can it be reversed?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not
Thank you.
only
Thank you for your
reversed-
input. We have a couple more members of the public, and then I see a couple of members that board members that want to speak as well, so we can get back to it. Thank you, Wayne. I see Peter Frischhoff. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
You're up.
Thank you very much. I'm volunteer coordinator for Park to Park 103, which is a project of the Open Street Community Coalition, which is DOT's partner in this. I'm also a director of the West 102nd, 103rd Street Block Association. We are very much in favor of this plan, as was indicated earlier by other members of the board. Just to clarify, there are no benches on the Amsterdam block whatsoever. It is a shared street, so it's open to vehicles for pickup and drop off of taxis and ride hails. There's no impact at all. The only purpose of the redesign is to slow traffic down to 5 miles per hour. So on the 103rd Street block, the DOT plan calls for changing the color of the pavement, but traffic is permitted. They just have to go 5 miles per hour. There's much better signage and other very nice improvements. So we're very excited about this. This street improvement plan covers the area between Amsterdam Avenue, starting at Hosseling International, going all the way to Riverside Drive. And we had a lot of great community partners testifying at the Transportation Committee meeting, as well as the full DOT plan. So thank you very much. But there are no benches in the plan at all, and it is a shared street, so there is complete open access for drop off and pickup of passengers, emergency vehicles. The plan calls for planters to replace the ugly metal barriers and things like that. So we're very excited about it and looking forward to this as a community improvement, and we will watch it to make sure that it works well in the future. And if it doesn't, that it can be modified along the way. So thank you very much for listening, and have a good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thanks for responding to the other community members' comments.
If I may just add.
We're going to go. Let me just go. We have Brian Stein, then John. We're going to go back to John Pasquarello, and then we're going to go to board members.
Good enough. Good enough.
Thank you, Robert.
Hi, great, thank you. I am a resident, and hi, Courtney, and hi, Shelley. It's good to see you. I'm a resident of 103rd Street between Broadway and Amsterdam. John Pasquarello actually texted me. He was having trouble with his connection, so I can raise his concerns on his behalf. But I want to ask a few things. The fruit vendor who occupies 103rd Street, the northeast corner of 103rd and Broadway, when I looked at the plans that were shared, I think, by the DOT, it showed that vendor being displaced, if I read that correctly. I know that he's been there over 12 years, and I think, look, it's a great community resource to be able to buy fruit at an expensive price and also provides eyes on the street. Has that been addressed, or is that vendor going to be displaced? That's question number one.
Peter, Peter Frishoff might have the answer. I don't have that answer. I don't.
Yeah, that did not come up at the meeting, actually. If it had, we could have asked.
Yeah, I can actually answer that. There is accommodation for that fruit vendor. He's actually was a friend of mine. He's not there now because of something that has to do with the license and poor sales over the winter. But there is actually at the curb extension, there's a very nice area to accommodate a fruit vendor. And I agree with the community member. Absolutely. I'm a fan of that, of having a fruit stand there. It was very nice. And I was sorry to see the licensee not continue it over the winter. We hope he comes back, and hopefully he will. Also, because of the construction, the Toll Brothers construction across the street, I think he was really adversely affected by that. That should be finished in the next few months. So hopefully all of this can entice him back. It'll be a much better block for him when this street improvement plan is put into place.
That's great to hear.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, we're going to go back to, that looks like the community comments, Mark Diller, and then we will call the question.
Sorry, just a question before we move
Mark
on.
and then Robert. I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Was the community member going?
Yeah, sorry, comment? Brian. You one more quick though, please. Brian?
Hi, great. Sorry, I just wanted to share what John Pasquarello wanted to raise, my neighbor on 103rd Street. Just concerns around vagrancy. If this, creates a situation where we have people who are, sort of using the block and for unwanted purposes. You mentioned that the DOT is going to be actively monitoring. Do we have a way that we, as residents of that block, could encourage enforcement and also have a quick way to get in touch with whoever would be involved with enforcement to handle any problems if they should arise?
Andrew or Howard?
Oh, I would say definitely call 311 and let us know at the community board. So
Yes.
I would do those two things. Andrew, if you have any other suggestions.
No, I agree. I was going to say, call the community board and we'll get right on it.
But definitely also let 311 know.
Great. Is there a number for the community board?
Yes, there is.
You can easily Google it. Yes, there's definitely a number. Just
check
Google
our,
CB7.
check our website.
Yep,
email
it's
works
on the
best,
website.
and we can set up a call.
All right, we want to go quickly. Mark Diller,
Sure.
Kristen, and then Shelley, and then we'll call the question.
Okay, so lots been said, so I'll try not to repeat. The one thing I did want to emphasize, although I think the point may have been made, is that two different things are called open streets, and this is different than the one on Amsterdam above 106th Street that Peter Arnson masterminds. So that one does prevent traffic from going through. This one doesn't. So I just want to make sure that the folks who are concerned about that, those fears should be allayed. With respect to vagrancy, what I wanted to say was that the object of this kind of an open street is to have more pedestrian and more neighbor presence on the street, using the sidewalk, feeling safe outside. So there are going to be more, not fewer, eyes on the street with this treatment than there would be now. So I think that in effect, this will become the solution, not the problem that you were raising and so forth. And a quick echo of what Irena said, how nice it was to see this meeting with so many different points of view represented. The whole spectrum from age and experience. That this was a very productive meeting that came to a very a very useful conclusion. So I'm proud to support the resolution. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Kristen Berger.
Hi, yeah, I'm a little concerned about the community member who said he was opposed and wasn't so familiar with the plan. So I know you said at the meeting, many people spoke, but I was wondering if you have a sense of how many of the actual residents on the street are A, even aware of this idea, and B, participated in the meeting.
There were quite a few residents of the block, Kristen, at the meeting, and associations and signage about the meeting had been posted pretty widely along the block. So I think folks are pretty aware of this plan, and DOT was extremely exhaustive in answering every concern, more so than normal, I thought. So, and as Mark Diller and Arena said, it was an amazing gathering of various viewpoints, geography, ages, and everything, which all I think are going to make this block, as Mark said, safer, more eyes, more people using it, just to walk down it. I think it's gonna help, and DOT is committed to making changes as they are needed.
Terrific. Thank you, Andrew.
Sure.
Thanks. So we're going to go to Shelley, and now I see Ken, and then that's going to be it, and we'll call the question. I just want to be respectful of everyone's time and try to stay on the agenda. Shelley.
Okay, I want to suggest to Brian and Joe to call the office and raise the issue a week from Thursday. There is a commander's advisory group. There are 5 of us on it representing the 24th, various aspects of the 24th, and we will raise it with Deputy Inspector Yaguchi as a concern. I know he's concerned about the block, but that this and any other specific concerns you have now, please register with our district manager so we can bring it to the Commander's Advisory Group. Thank you.
Thank you. Ken?
Yeah, just in answer to Kristen's question. Also last winter, I think it was, the block was closed for a day and there was kind of a street fair, and DOT had a booth and presented its plans on the block between Amsterdam and Broadway. There was that also, and they had plans there. And also, I just say that I'm quite concerned about cars going 30, 40 miles an hour down all our cross streets. I think, and this kind of treatment will make that much less likely. So that's a good thing.
Thank you, Ken. Okay, let's call the question. All right, all in favor?
Hi, Robert.
All right. All right. Still changing. Okay. So I heard Robert. Anyone else with a hand, Bev?
Blanche, yes.
Okay, Blanche, yes. Robert, yes. 35 virtual hands. So that's 37. And the chair?
Yes.
So that's 38.
Okay. Those voting no on the resolution.
I see 1.
Okay. I don't hear anyone and I don't see any hands. Okay, anyone abstaining? Not eligible. Don't see anyone either. All right, and the tally, please.
38 to 1 to 0 to 0.
Great, thank you. The resolution passes. And now we have one more, correct, Andrew?
Correct. Howard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Howard.
I'll handle this one. This one actually is quite similar to the last one. There are 2 blocks of West 94th Street. We've come to you right before the summer with regard to the street. There was a lot of traffic calming measures on the street, most conspicuously red bricking which the DOT was thinking of removing, and we adopted a resolution, I think it was unanimously, calling for that not to happen. This resolution before us tonight calls for similar calming measures on other blocks of the Upper West Side. Again, the treatment on West 94th is so beloved and just so popular. We think we'd like to see it on other streets. Again, it may not be possible for the DOT to do this, but the resolution calls for them to try to do this on its specific locations, including West 108th Street, West 93rd Street, West 76th Street, and West 60th Street, to the extent possible. So that's what this resolution was about. Again, it was inspired by our support for the measures that were taken on 94th Street so many years ago that are to this day remain so popular. Questions?
I endorse that fully because I live there.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Robert, and then we'll go to Jay.
Well, I just want to say I endorse that because I live on that block. I live at 711 in Amsterdam, and it's not just aesthetically beautiful, but it's the traffic control functions with the slowdown, with the bumps and that sort of thing. So I think this is a quite brilliant street.
Yes, and it's aesthetically pleasing, right?
And it's it's very, very beautiful. It really is. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Thanks, Robert. Jay, you're up, please.
Yeah, just quickly. This is not the same as 103rd Street. This is not an open street. It's a normal crosstown street, and the brick, in addition to being something of a traffic calming installation, had historical significance, and even from a preservation point of view, all of the committee members felt that it should be preserved. And frankly, it was no big deal for DOT to repair this where necessary and not tear up the whole thing. But it has to be distinguished from what we, in my opinion, mistakenly call open streets, which are really partially closed streets.
Thank you, Jay. Shelley, you're up.
Yeah. First, I think the 94th Street situation is extremely important. People who know the traffic pattern coming off the highway, people do not go straight across 95th Street because 95th Street at Amsterdam changes direction. It's going from west to east, and from Amsterdam over, it's east to west. So they go to 94th Street and very often rifle through. There are no speed bumps or anything. And so that calming force of the red brick and signage is extremely important for the traffic calming. On top of that, in my role as president of the Westside Federation, Senior and Supportive Housing, we consulted with the residents of the Independence House, which is right there on the corner, 90+% who are elderly, who welcome that calming effect for their safety. It's a short distance across, but not having cars rush through makes them feel more safe. So for those 2 reasons, I support it.
Thank you. Richard Ash, please.
Yeah, I just want to report that the repaving has been completed, at least between Columbus and Central Park West, and the red brick is still there. So
great.
Congratulations to the
Great
committee.
news.
It would be wonderful if they could also repair the red brick, because it does need repair, but it's not, on the scheme of things, not the most crucial. What I do want to say, though, is I don't believe the red brick is the primary controller of speed. I believe the primary controller is that where there's the red brick, the roadway narrows considerably. And I think that causes cars to slow down. So with respect to all these other streets, that we would like to have red brick on. We need to make sure that that's accompanied by a narrowing of the street and a widening of the sidewalk area.
And there are also bumps there. There are bumps. There's speed bumps.
Yeah, no, there aren't.
Take a look at
Not on my
The
block.
red brick is an obvious place for people to cross, makes them very visible.
Yep. And the
Look at
crossing
Ken's-
distance is
look at
shorter.
Ken's screen.
I don't think that happens either. And people cross side on 94th Street wherever they want cross.
Oh, of course they do.
And I don't think the red brick actually is, the footing on the red brick is probably not as good as the pavement. So, but certainly the narrowing at 2 or 3 points in the block does have an effect on speed.
All right. Bev and then Ken.
Yeah, I mean, I have certainly appreciated the 94th Street crossing where it really is helpful to have that demarked so clearly. What I was wondering, and perhaps you could tell us, is has DOT had any input into the streets that you selected or given you any feedback on how feasible it would be to replicate the brick treatment there?
Not yet. This is to start the process. This resolution is to start the process to let them know that we are in favor of this and to see if it's possible. So we will get back to you with their response after this resolution is resolved.
Okay, Ken?
Yeah, Beverly, we did choose the streets that are itemized in our resolution on the basis of there's a lot of speeding or senior centers or schools. And we were just asking DOT to explore the feasibility. If anybody wants a visual, I will duck. This is a mid-block, as Richard was describing, between Central Park West and Columbus. This was a very visionary design for the late 60s. It was probably one of the first, certainly first in the city, maybe one of the first in the country. It's really sad that it happened because it was a very well-connected block. And there were some deaths and they got the ear of city officials. But it's really sad that it hasn't been replicated at all in our district anywhere else. And I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be.
What block is that, Ken? Could you identify that block?
The block behind me?
Yes.
It's 94th Street between Columbus and Central Park West.
Okay, so we're gonna go to Roberta, then Arena. I think generally people seem supportive, so we'll try to get through it as quickly as possible. Roberta?
Yeah, I think narrowing the street calms traffic tremendously. And I think, one of the problems that we have is we need to do outreach to any of those streets where we think there should be calming to make sure that the people on the street buy in. For years, I've been trying to get 66th Street between Amsterdam and West End Avenue narrowed. There's not a lot of street traffic. We don't want bricks. We want it painted. There aren't many built. There's a school at the top. There's Lincoln Towers. There's the building that used to be the Red Cross that has no footage on that street. And we've had several people hospitalized and injured on the street, but it certainly would not be red brick. But I think you should add to the resolution that in addition to DOT doing the study from the specific community.
We lost you, Roberta.
I think
to DOT.
I think what Roberta's trying to say is that we reach out to the blocks that have been mentioned, make sure they're on board with this proposal.
Thank you.
Okay, Arena, and then we're going to move on. I just want to make sure we're staying on track. Yes?
Just a couple of points. And I agree with Roberta. I think if we're proposing to bring this anywhere else, the blocks, I encourage Max and the team to reach out to those communities when this item is calendared. Just a point of clarification, 93rd Street between Central Park West and Amsterdam have speed bumps, two on each block because of the schools. So I just want to, for those people unfamiliar with those two blocks, there are two speed bumps on each block because of the schools, both Columbia and Joan of Arc. The red brick, DOT has no plans to replace the red brick. This came up at the committee meeting, and the reason that they were asking us to remove the red brick is because they don't have any plans to replace it. And so there were those of us on the call that said that we would be open to contributing to a fund to replace the red brick because DOT is not inclined to replace it. They wanted to replace it with something other than red brick. So the idea that they would replicate the red brick, and I think Richard is right, it doesn't have to be the red brick. They don't have plans to do that. In fact, if for those of you, and I know Polly's very familiar with this block because she lives on it, but the red brick is in pretty bad shape. And so I think we're going to have to stay on DOT about replacing the red brick and coming up with some kind of private funding to do that because they're not inclined to do it based on the conversation we had with their representative.
Thanks, Serena. I don't see any members of the public. Doug, real quick, we're calling the question.
Real quick, as a member of the committee, I just want to say that I was impressed by so many of the outpouring of people that showed up from the community and people that even were not even in the community anymore. We had someone that tuned in from out of state. And I just want to say as a personal testimony, I had a rental car the other week and I purposely drove on that block and I felt an inclination to slow down. I'm not, while I'm not a DOT traffic expert, absolutely the narrowing has a calming effect. Twofold. Number one, the drivers tend to slow down because they see the narrowing, and it shortens the distance that a pedestrian needs to walk across the street. So I am absolutely in favor of this, and it looks beautiful. Thanks.
Thank you, Doug. All right, let's call the question. All right. All in favor?
Can you see my hand there? Anyway, my hand is up.
All right, who?
All right, we're still going up. All right. Beverly, you got it? 36 plus.
36 plus.
Blanche, yes.
Blanche, yes, and Robert. So that's
38 and
38.
Yourself.
And me too.
That's Michelle.
Yes, thanks, Beverly.
36 plus 3 is 39 plus Andrew.
Yep, I put my hand up. I'm a yes, but I'm counted in the 36.
Oh, you are in the 36. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we're at 39.
Okay, please lower the hands. Those voting no on the resolution? C1. All right. Abstaining?
I think that one is from
Where?
Linda,
Linda abstaining? Okay.
don't know enough about it.
All right.
Okay.
Not eligible? Okay, Beverly, what's the tally?
39 to 1 to 1 to 0.
It passes.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Howard. Thanks, Andrew.
Welcome.
All right, moving on to BCI, business and consumer issues. It looks like we have a bunch of applications, but they're bundled. Two
Yeah.
sets. All right, is that Linda and Christian? You're up.
Yeah, listen, I just want to say, if anybody knows how to fix a camera, just call me because I feel like a talking head. I'm going to cede this time to Christian, but definitely call me. My computer's really in trouble.
Okay, so we have on number 5 is our new application for the new license of SLA. No one in all of our meetings we have no opposition to any of these applications.
Yeah, the Hirschfield ballpark is the same operator, just a new application. That was it. So
Any questions?
the Heckscher ballfield.
Yeah, I have a question, but it has to do with the next set. What's a, but I can wait, temporary.
Yeah, wait for the
retail
next
set.
Wait for the next one. This is the Heckscher ballfield. Same operator, new application. That was kind of a no-brainer.
Do we have any comment from the public on this? I don't see. Okay.
Let's call the question.
Let's call the question. All in favor?
Aye, Robert here, aye. 4, of course.
All right. I see 34 hands up, and Robert.
I'm sorry, this is Natasha. I'm also voting in favor.
Sorry, you are favor?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just clarify for the minutes? This is the bundled first 3 items, right,
Correct.
under new applications. Is that right?
All right. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, you got that count, Bev?
There's 35 virtual hands plus Blanche, where are you?
Yes,
Yes, are you a yes?
yes.
Okay, and Robert?
Yes, yes.
Robert's a yes, and is there anyone else who is a physical hand?
Natasha's a yes.
Natasha,
Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
that's 38.
Great. Okay, we'll put them down, please. Voting no on the resolution. I don't see any. Anyone abstaining? Not eligible? Beverly, may we please get the tally?
Yes, 38 to 0 to 0 to 0.
The resolution passes. Thank you.
Okay, so the next bundle, our applications are for a new and temporary retail permit. The difference here is that the SLA one point in the recent past had a big backlog of applications, and they instituted this temporary process for the new applications to be, for many of the new applications to be able to be processed. So we have regular new applications and we have temporary retail permits for the same thing. So in this case, there was again no opposition. I want to point out on the second one listed there, 27 West 72nd Street. The agenda says it's by Empijon 72nd Street. That's going to be the name of the restaurant. The same people file a new application with DSLA, same application, but they just wanted to have a different corporate name. So instead of Empijon, what we really are voting for is JTRE West 72nd Street, which is the corporate.
JRT, yeah, that it's a retail condominium, so they have a new operator, but it's the same ownership.
Great. Thank you. Member questions? Doug Kleiman.
Just 2 points of clarification. While I do believe that during the pandemic, the SLA had some pressure to create these temporary permits, it's actually, and Andrew, I'm sure you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is actually a new ability. This was passed into the new regs. So I think New York City was the only place in the entire state of New York that did not allow temporary permits, and now we do. So we're going to be seeing more of these, and I think it's a good thing. And the second part is, yes, the JTRE, that is the landlord who owns the property.
No.
JTRE is the landlord, the condominium. It's a retail condominium. The landlords own it, and it's just a new operator.
Right, they are managed, right, so the MPO is they're under a management contract. It's the landlord applying for their own liquor license.
Right.
That's what, got it.
Okay. Any public comments? I don't see any. Okay, let's call the question. All in favor?
Robert in favor.
Okay.
Okay. We have 35 virtual hands plus Robert, Blanche.
In
What are you-
favor.
Okay, that's 2. Natasha? Is she
I
there?
raised my hand. I raised my hand virtually. Thank
Okay,
you.
good. And Andrew,
I have my hand raised, so I think we're at 37.
I think you're right.
Right. Okay, can we put them down, please? Okay. Those voting no on the resolution, please raise your hand. I don't see any.
Anybody?
Okay, abstaining.
I'm sorry, my computer froze and I'm voting yes.
Okay, that's 38 then. All right, go ahead.
Okay, I didn't see any abstaining. Not eligible. All right, don't see any. Tally, please.
38 to 0 to 0 to 0.
Looks like we lost a body. And one more thing, this is a great thing for our community. Not only do we have all of these wonderful new applications, which means new businesses in our neighborhood. Next month, I mean, rather this month, next week, anyone who comes, we've got 12 applications. We're going to see a lot of new businesses in our community.
Great. Thank you. And then we have one more method of operation, number 7.
Yes, so we're voting separately because it's a method of operation change, but basically it's for a 2-year full liquor license. Any questions?
Mark Diller.
Yeah, Amity Hall's been there a long time. What's the change?
Lisa, do you remember? I think it was
Well, I have it in front of me. It was a full liquor license. That was all. They go to Amity Hall. I brought it
Were
up.
they only wine and beer before?
Yeah, they were wine and beer, and now they're full liquor.
Okay, that's an answer. Thanks.
Yep.
Any other member comments? All right, anyone, members from the public? I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, let's call the question.
Let's call the question. All in favor?
Aye, Robert.
Okay, Robert's here. Okay, the 36 virtual
Blanche,
hands.
yes.
And Blanche is a yes and Robert's a yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
And Andrew, is your
My
hand
hand,
virtual?
my hand is my virtual hand is raised.
Okay, so it's 37 plus 2 is 39.
Thank you. All right, we can put those down. Those voting no on the resolution. I don't see anyone. Those abstaining. I don't see anyone. Not eligible, please vote. I don't see anyone. May we have a tally, please?
39 to 0 to 0 to 0.
Great.
The resolution passes. Linda, Christian, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. So I know we said we wanted to get to the community session around 8:10. We have one more section that's preservation for the business agenda. So let's go through that and let's please just be respectful of everyone's time, especially the community members that have signed up and I know want to speak. So I will turn it over to Kay and Michelle for preservation.
Okay, I'm going to take this this first one, number 8. But before I start, I want to thank everybody from the Preservation Committee who met. We all met in July and August this year. We have 7 resolutions in front. You have 7 resolutions in front of you. So, you know, we were pretty busy. I have to thank the office also for they never denied us any of their time or their data or their hard work. So I thank them and also other community board members who attended our meetings and brought up important points. So with that, number 8.
Excuse me, Michelle.
Yes.
Excuse me. I have I'm ready to share my screen, but I don't have the power. So if Max could give me the power to share my screen so I can illustrate your presentation.
Give him the power.
The force be with you.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, 50 West 72nd Street. This is between Columbus and Central Park West on the southeast corner. It's a big building. And the application, no, that's not it. That's not it.
Now that's yeah.
That's three.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay,
screen
sorry.
share is not an exact science. Give me a second here.
That's all right. I'll just keep talking. The application is to replace 2 fixed pane windows in a restaurant called, hold on, called Community Food and Juice. They want to replace the fixed pane windows with 4/4 double hung windows. So number 1, they can open windows. Number 2, those are the historic windows. And therefore, you see this all around red area. Right now, they're closed, full pane windows, and they want to, and the restaurant wants to replace it with 4/4 double hung windows. This will match with the rest of the building and will, as the restaurant owner said, or the applicant said, be a much more lend a much more congenial air to the restaurant for its patrons. They had to go before landmarks preservation because originally the windows were like the new ones they want to install. And when they installed the double pane, the single pane windows, they had to go in front of LPC, and now to undo that, they have to go back to LPC. So we voted in favor of this because generally we look favorably upon applications like this to return things to their historic sense. And the LPC generally looks in favor of returning things to their historic sense. So does anybody have any questions about this application?
We have a couple. Barbara Adler.
Yes, Barbara.
No, sorry, I don't know why my hand is raised. I didn't mean to have it raised.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
All right, great. Elizabeth Caputo.
Yeah, my only question was, did you say that this was the issue was related to having more sort of community? It's a community restaurant. I know it's named community, but it dealt with noise. I know that block and that block very, very well. Did anything come up in terms of the windows? Any community input on that? I'm inclined to support this. I just wanted to know if there was any.
Do you mean, did people ask what would happen if the windows were open, how much noise there would be?
Yeah, I thought that's what you said at the beginning, that they wanted to make it more open to the, to the outside and everything else. And I know in the past that block, that corner has been an issue. So we love the restaurant. Like I said, I'm inclined to support it. Just curious if there were anyone from the community maybe concerned about the community windows.
Nobody said anything, Liz.
Okay.
Nobody from the community spoke unfavorably about this application.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All
Anybody
right.
else?
Paige.
I just was curious, are the awnings that are going up part of the application, or is that separate?
Well, we didn't hear, that wasn't as part of the application page.
So we should be careful to, because, and the only reason why I say that is it's very unusual to put, unless the lintels are higher, like a storefront. I'm thinking on 86th Street, their door size height or above. Here, they're quite low. So I just wanted to be sure that the community understands the placement of that should be a separate application. I don't think there are awnings there now, if I remember.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'll
It's
keep
a
that in
question.
mind. That happened to be an issue for BCI when people put umbrellas up. George happened to be particularly stunned every time he walked into an umbrella. So keep that in mind. But that was not part of the application. The application is to take the single pane windows and make them 4/4 double hung.
That's fine. Okay, thank you.
All right, so I'm gonna call the question.
All in favor?
I think Arena's got her hand up.
I have my hand up.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
I have my hand up and I just wanted to follow up on what Paige said. Perhaps Max can reach out to the applicant and get clarification on that because they're showing the awning in the rendering and I don't want them to be pulling a fast one over on us.
I'm not sure they can do that.
I think there's an awning already there.
Well, that's what Paige asked and someone said that there is not an awning
I think
already.
so. You want to show the, thanks. That's the awning over the window.
Right, but is it pre-existing or are they planning to put it in?
They're new ones. You see, if you look in the old ones, they are flatter. Not quite that style because these don't have returns on them. You see, they're open in the corners. Oh, I don't know if you can hear me, but anyway,
yeah.
I think it's a clarification that we approve the, because, you know, that gets into signage and bird poop and all sorts of things. So I think if we just say that we hope the applicant comes back and explains the necessity for the awnings, because to be honest, you don't get much sun there. You don't need them, really.
Well, that's their decision. It might
I
be more
know.
aesthetic than
I
that.
know, but
And you know better than I do that any signage changes or additions have to be brought in front of LPC also.
right, exactly. Thank you.
Okay.
But we can
I'm
add
with
that
you,
if you want.
Arena.
Clary?
No, sorry, I thought when somebody called the question, I must have raised my hand,
Oh,
so
yeah,
it's to stay up to vote, that's. it.
Okay, is it, I see Madge, did you want to? No, okay. Ira,
We can't hear you.
Very quick technical comment. There are code requirements for how low the awnings must be. And ironically, I'm looking at a picture sent out by the city and the awning itself in the picture of their example is too low. There are code requirements. So however they show it, they still have to comply with code. So if you can hit it, it's too low. That's just the code, and whether we approve it or not, the code still governs.
Okay,
thank you, Ira. Okay, hands are down. All right, why don't we call the question? All in favor?
Aye, Robert.
All right, looks like we have 34 Beverly plus Robert.
34 plus Robert. Anyone else who's a physical hand?
Those voting no on, oh, sorry, put the hands down. Those voting no on the resolution. I don't see anyone. Anyone abstaining?
Blanche.
Oh. Blanche, Arena, and Elizabeth.
That'll be 3, yes.
Great, we put those hands down, please. And not eligible. Great. Can we get a final tally, please?
34 to 0 to 3 to 0.
Excellent. Thank you. So I just wanted to make a quick announcement. So we're going to go on to number 9. And then since I am chair for a brief period of time, I will take a chair's privilege. And I just want to go to the community session. I know people come on and see our meetings and want to speak, so I want to be respectful of their time. And then we may have an elected or two that time schedule, and then we will come back and finish our business. So let's do number, I'm sorry, the 159 West 72nd Street, please.
This is Janovic Plaza. They want to remove the clay tiles. You see those brown clay tiles in the picture to the right? They want to remove all of those. Those tiles are not made anymore, so they won't replace them with clay tiles. They want to put a smooth stucco on the facade of the building. That will actually emulate the buildings to either side. They'll be more consistent with the buildings on either side. And this is an Art Deco building, which was, what did we find out? It was a Providence Savings Bank. And Janovic was in front of us not too long ago for the signage, which nothing will change on the signage. But this is an attempt to remove the clay tiles. Some fell, some got defaced, and those tiles are not made anymore. We trust that they'll choose the right color. They said they'll choose a neutral color. They'll keep up the paint job, which we trust they will because they are a paint center. And we approve this application. Does anybody have a question about this?
No question.
There's a member of the public that signed up.
I see Paige.
Just in terms of architectural style, it really is a no style building. At this stage, that's how I would classify it.
Okay.
I was hoping that they would do something a little bit more sophisticated rather than stucco. So I'm not sure how I'm going to vote, because once they put the stucco in, because they're going to have to deface the substrate to make it stick, it's going to make it harder for anyone else in the future to put a different type of cladding on there. So I'm torn.
Maybe they'll be there forever.
Could be. And as you say, they're a paint store. They could be out there every week, touching it up. So I don't know. But I think it's sad when you resort to stucco instead of a more permanent material. That's all.
Well, they said the issue came up as to the quality of the stucco, actually, not your question. And they said they were going to mix the stucco with lime, and then that would be sturdier than the insulation finish systems you're going to hear about in another application. And they'll just keep up the appearance of it's very important for them to do that.
I know, but it's a lot of surface that you can't easily access, that you're going to end up with different colors, horizontal divisions. I don't know. I'm just sad that Janovic isn't doing a more noble material there, because they do have a presence. They've been around the neighborhood forever, and we want them to stay. So I'm conflicted. I know you've got other hands up.
Yeah, we're going to go to the public, to Gary.
Hi, I'm actually representing Janovic. I work for Kamen-Tall Architects, and we are the applicant on this. So the problem with the building is that the tiles are falling off, and it's indicating to us that the masonry backup behind it is damaged. So we are unsure if similar tiles would be able to stick to the surface of the brick. So we feel that a cementitious stucco would be appropriate here, as it would not fall off the building. The stucco in question is a historic stucco. It is cementitious in nature. There is no ephes insulation behind it. It's about 5/8 of an inch thick, and it is cement. So it is a more sophisticated system and historic that similarly relates to the Loan Society building that was there in 1940, which was a cementitious finish of itself. And also, Throughout the neighborhood, there are many examples of stucco and ephes facades, especially on 72nd Street.
Can I just add one last question of Gary? Are you going to put expansion joints in, or are they going to just be scored lines?
If expansion joints are necessary, they will be provided.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need. Thanks.
I see Ira, Doug, and Arena. That's going to be it. Please just make it quick and don't repeat if things have already been said. Thank you very much.
Just
Ira.
to repeat something that's already been said, it is a very undistinguished solution to a building that had some architectural character before, even in its other version. My one question is, if you're making all sorts of assumptions about the substrate, have you done any probes at all? That would be a fairly standard procedure to do, particularly if you know that the tile is falling off the building. A slight amount of forensics would have been appropriate before you came here.
Okay.
And then the other.
Is that a question, Ira, or for Gary?
So it's our understanding that we can't touch the facade until we get approval. But yes, probes would be a part of it. And there are portions of the tile that have fallen off, and we can see what's behind it. And it is definitely brick. So we know what's back there.
And then my other comment is a smooth stucco face on a commercial street wall will be the perfect blackboard for anybody walking by with any paints. So what color are we going to paint this the second week it's done?
The client has picked historic color HC92, which is an off-white.
Okay, so that means the third week will be painted again.
Well, the neighbors have.
Okay, we're gonna thank you. We're gonna move on. Doug.
Anyway, those are my comments. Okay.
Thank you.
Just quick point of clarification, Gary, if I may call you, because I can't pronounce your last name. You said you're representing. So Janovic, I know, is the landlord, but I also know that Benjamin Moore has a long-term lease on this, and Janovic sold their company to Benjamin Moore. Are you representing Benjamin Moore or Janovic?
The CEO of Janovic is the one who hired us.
Thank you. Arena.
Actually, I'm just picking up on Ira's concerns about graffiti. And I just wanted to know, Gary, if you, based on what you're planning to put in, will it be easy to clean graffiti off of? Because we're having a terrible problem in New York City and on the Upper West Side with graffiti. And many building owners are not even removing it. I think they're just frustrated. Can graffiti be easily removed from the surface that you're putting in?
Graffiti repellent surfacing coating can be applied if LPC allows it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's call the question, please. All in favor?
Aye, Robert.
Okay,
All right.
31, 32. Okay.
All right.
32 virtual hands plus Robert is 33. Is there anyone else voting physically?
All right, we'll put them down, please.
34. I'm sorry, 34 plus Robert is 35.
Right. Okay, those voting no on the resolution. I see one. All right, abstaining.
Blanche abstaining.
Blanche abstain. Okay, not eligible. I don't see any. All right, can we get a tally, please, Beverly?
35 to 1 to 1 to 0.
Okay, The resolution passes. Thank you. So we are going to come back to the rest of the business session, but we're going to go to the community session, and then we'll hear from a couple of our elected representatives, and we'll come back to this portion. Christian, do you have the speaker sign up? If you'd like
Yes.
to, you can go ahead and you can call them in.
Okay, so
order.
first we have Nicole Painter, and then Zach Campbell.
Thank you. I'm Nicole Painter, Director of the Columbus Avenue Bid. I just wanted to let everyone know about a few events we have coming up. Firstly, we are about to have our 14th annual Taste of the Upper West Side event that Barbara Adler founded many years ago. And we will be having it on Friday, September 30th and Saturday, October 1st. We have a lot of new things to offer, a lot of new restaurants that will be debuting at the event, and it will be a more open air event like last year if anyone attended. So tickets are on sale at tasteuws.com. And second, I'd like to let you all know about a big event we have on our open streets this Sunday. We're having our very first Upper West Side runway fashion show that will be featuring looks from local boutiques, all modeled by local Upper West Siders and a few New Yorkers not living on the Upper West Side, but aged 19 to 92 models. We have a full stage, DJ, 17 models, professional hair and makeup. I would love everyone to come out and check it out. It will be a lot of fun. We'll have giveaways and other things happening. So that's this Sunday, September 11th at 5 p.m. at Columbus and 76th Street. Thanks so much.
Thank you. I'm a little disappointed I wasn't asked to model, but I'll still come and check it out. Sounds great. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Great.
Zach Campbell.
Hi, good evening, Community Board 7. Thanks, as always, for having me. I will be incredibly brief. I'm Zach Campbell. I work for the Museum of Natural History. I'm here to give a brief update on the Gilder Center project. As most of you know, the construction on the building is progressing. We've started installing some of our facade stone. So if you've been past the front, you've seen that we have a number of our large granite panels being installed via crane onto the west facade of the building. We're also making significant progress in some of the park restoration work, both at the northern section, and then also we have begun working towards the southern end, where we're installing a new path in towards where the service drive for the new building is. I'll put my contact information over to Max or via the chat if anyone has any follow-up questions, and I'm happy to take them. Thanks so much and have a good evening.
Thank you.
So we have some representatives that sign up. Emmitt Sklar.
Yes, hey everyone, this is Emmitt with Councilmember Shaun Abreu's office. Primarily here to let you know about a donation drive that we are hosting alongside Councilmember Brewer's office and PS 145. You may have heard that there are approximately 9,000 asylum-seeking folks now in New York City, some of whom are now in District 7 in transitional housing. And so we're asking folks if they can to donate new and unused items, including clothing, bed sheets, stuff for both children and adults. And so we'll be posting a lot about it on our social media and website, but if you're able to donate, we'll be hosting it at PS 145 during drop-off times from Thursday through Sunday. Thanks.
Thank you. Christian, I believe we have the Borough President on, Borough President Levine.
Okay.
Hello,
There he
hello.
is.
Thank you so
Welcome.
much, Mr. Acting Chair. Thank you for stepping into lead, for doing a great job tonight, for
Thank you.
keeping the meeting moving. I'm going to try and keep up the streak and be extremely concise. First, on a topic we've returned to again and again over the last more than 6 months, which is the emergency order, which allows the community board to conduct its meeting virtually. Each time we speak on it, we think the order is about to expire, and it's been extended repeatedly. That's happened once again. The mayor extended the emergency order on August 23rd, August 24th. So we have that in effect until September 23rd. So you'll be able to do your committee meetings as you have been virtually. We are prepared at that point that you'll have to move into the new hybrid world. This board has done outstanding work on preparing for that, and we'll be here to support you if and when that happens. I'm going to say when, because it's really just a question of time at this point. Appreciated Emmitt speaking up on an issue that's been on our minds, the presence in our city of thousands of people seeking asylum who were sent here from Texas. Really a cynical and heartless ploy by the Texas governor. I'm incredibly proud of how New York has welcomed these migrants with open arms. It's who we are. It's what we do. We are going to need federal assistance for this. The city has applied to FEMA for funding under the emergency food and housing program, which I hope and expect that we will receive. In the meantime, there's a number of ways you can help out yourself, in addition to the wonderful collection program that local council members are offering. We're doing one out of my office in partnership with the New York Immigration Coalition. Collection sites at our 125th Street office at 431 125th and down at 1 Center Street in the municipal building on weekdays, Monday through Friday from 10 to 5. So they really need personal care items, clothing, items for baby care, etc. Please help if you can at any of the various drop-off points that you have open to you. Just two quick public health items on monkeypox vaccines. We are, for the first time, no longer facing a shortage of access to monkeypox vaccine appointments. For months, appointments had been in desperately short supply. Now there is plentiful supply, and in fact, vaccine centers are taking walk-ins, but you can go to the Vax for NYC website and make an appointment. That's always the best way to do it. This is, in a sense, good news for those who need it, those who are high risk. We are still seeing about 50 cases a day, but it also is happening in a time when there's a lot of vulnerable people who are not yet vaccinated. So please spread the word. There's people who got discouraged from seeking monkeypox vaccines because it was so hard. Well, now they're available. So hope all of you as leaders can spread the word about that. Secondly, on the COVID vaccine front, you've probably read that there's a new vaccine that's available, an updated formula that was formulated to be extremely effective against the Omicron family. It's a little hit or miss to get access to it. Right now, there are some pharmacies which are offering it. It's a little inconsistent. I think we're going to get much wider and more clear availability this week, probably, in the coming days. I'm hoping that in the next day or so, the city's vaccine finder website will identify those private sites like pharmacies where you can get this new updated formula that's not yet really clear from any central public site. And even more important, I'm expecting that soon, some of the city-run sites that are run by our public hospital system will have ways for the public to go and get this new formulated vaccine. This remains important, including for young people. The take-up rate for young people has been extremely low on boosters. And so hope folks can get the word out. This is a great reason to start talking again about the importance of getting booster shots as we head into the fall. So I promised to keep it short. I did. I'm going to pass it back to you, Mr. Chair. I do see some hands up. If it's appropriate and there's time to take questions, I'm happy to. If you're short on time, I understand as well. So back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Borough President. We will take these three questions. I just asked them to be very brief and to the point, and I'm sure you'll get a response. So first we have Kay, you're up.
Yeah, real quick for Mark. Yeah, at St. Paul and St. Andrew, we just began taking in asylum seekers for temporary shelter. And we'd love to talk about ways to collaborate and get some additional support. And I know a lot of churches and synagogues are following suit.
Let's connect offline on that. We would love to partner with you. Eric Cuello from my team is on the Zoom, and maybe he could put his info in the chat.
Great.
And we'll make the connection happen. Thank you so much, Ken.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Shelley, you are up.
Yeah, I don't have to say to you, Mr. Borough President, that we have to preempt the possibility of disparities in the distribution of vaccine this time. But I think one of the things we learned in addition to the locations was informing people and educating people. So I think that should be something that people need to know, not only where they can get it, but information about it, so that if it is located where they can access it, that they want to go. So just
thank you, Shelley. I could not agree more, but we need to return to this again and again. There's been just inexcusable inequality throughout this pandemic in vaccination and much else. And we need to cut through that again for this phase. And I'll certainly be using my voice to do that, but all of us have to make sure the people at risk, in need, who are getting left behind, get this protection. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you. Natasha.
Hi, I was hoping that you could talk a little bit about these smoke shops that have come up all over the city and also in our neighborhood, and the Weed World or High Rollers type trucks. They're all over the place. They attract crime. A lot of them have been broken into at all times of day and night. And also there are reports now in the media also that they're selling stuff that they shouldn't be selling. Are they licensed? Are they not? I realize there's an Office of Cannabis Management at the NYC government, but either they're not doing their job or I don't know what's going on. Can you just speak a little bit about that? Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. This is a big problem. They are not licensed. They are not licensed to sell cannabis, neither the storefronts nor the trucks. And it's really important that they not be permitted to continue to do so, because we have a new regulatory regime coming into effect that will be managed and taxed with the focus on equity. And it simply would be unfair to all the people seeking licenses now who are investing money, playing by the rules, to have that business undermined by unlicensed retailers. There has been some crackdown in the last couple of weeks on this. It needs to be more. If you want to let our office know about specific sites, either mobile or storefront, we would pass that on. But we know this
it's
is
actually
not
unclear. I'm sorry to interrupt,
Please,
but
go
it's
ahead.
actually
Yeah.
unclear who has a license and who does not.
No,
I don't know
there-
what the requirements are for displaying licenses.
that there are no license in effect for sale of cannabis in New York State. As of today, there are none. So every single seller, whether they're in a truck or in a storefront, is unlicensed, and that is not legally sanctioned. There will be some soon, probably by early 2023, but we're not there yet. So you can let our office know about specific locations, either brick and mortar or mobile, and we'll pass that on.
Thank you. It's
Can I add
just
one
very
more thing,
disturbing.
Natasha, very quickly, the Office of Cannabis Management will be presenting a BCI next week. You should probably be there then.
Yes, definitely would recommend that for everyone. So
Thank
I know
you.
some of the other speakers have a schedule. So with that, I'm sorry, everyone, but we're going to let the borough president leave and move on. But we thank you for your time, and we will speak with you soon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, everybody.
And next up is Senator Hoylman. Welcome.
Thank you, Acting Chair. And I don't mean to diminish your role by calling you acting.
That is, I'm trying my best, playing the role.
You're doing a great job. And I just wanted to thank the borough president for his answer on these illegal cannabis shops. Every one of them, let me reiterate, every one of them is illegal. All those vans, those are illegal. Why isn't the city administration taking action against them? They can and they aren't. The Office of Cannabis Management doesn't have yet the staffing or enforcement powers to do anything. They can send out, as I understand they have, cease and desist letters, which are being promptly ignored by these operators. So we should be asking the city administration, why are you permitting these shops to operate? When is it going to occur that an individual, maybe they're a tourist, maybe they're a young person, they buy some illegal, unregulated, not tested cannabis, and they get sick and they get injured or worse? That is possible because they are selling an illegal product that has not been sanctioned by or licensed by any health or state or city official. So it is of great concern. It should be of grave concern. Forget about the quality of life. I'm worried about the impact on the unknowing consumer that may think that this is a legitimate business and that they have purchased a product that is sanctioned by either the city or the state of New York. None of it has occurred. So I want to flag that because it really does get under my skin too. Not to mention, as the borough president said, undermine the law that we put into effect that is very specific about regulation, about who gets the licenses, about making certain that it's not sold to minors, and that there is an equity component to communities that were hit hard by the war on drugs. So that's number one. Number two, Mr. Chair, I wanted to, it's back to school for everyone. My kids are going back to school on Thursday. That's when my summer vacation really does begin. And just kidding. And, but I will say that every year we publish something called a Parent and Family Resource Guide. Some families really look forward to it. And we published it again. I'd love for folks to take a look at it. You can get a copy. Tevin from my team is online if you want to message him or email me directly at hoylman@nysenate.gov and we can get you a copy. We'd also like to know what else we should include in it. Third, Assemblymember Dick Gottfried and I passed legislation called the Stop the Chop Act. And it is the first successful bill at the federal, state, or city level that actually has passed to take on the issue of chopper noise. It passed both houses. It now is ready for the governor's signature, but we need to get her to sign the bill. So I actually showed up at the Delacorte Theater, Shakespeare on the Park, which has been besieged by helicopters, and made a plea to all those theater goers to call the governor's office or to send her an email. I would encourage you to do the same. It's S7493A. It's in our report, but we need her to sign that bill. It's going to allow the Attorney General to file nuisance claims against tourist choppers. One piece of the puzzle, there's still the commuters and the fact that there is a heliport in the Hudson River Park, but this is one piece that we should take on, and the legislation has passed. We, fourth, wanted to let you know that we've been campaigning along with Assemblywoman Rosenthal and Gottfried and our council members, Brewer and Botcher and the borough president, to get Midtown Community Court reopened. This is a problem-solving court that is meant to address a lot of the ailments we see in our community: quality of life concerns, recidivism, drug sales, addiction, mental health. The court is specifically designed to, as a part of a condition of an individual's release, they will be required to go through programs, have a social worker, engage in litter cleanup and other aspects that can benefit the West Side community. The court is open only one day a week. We have to get our acting chief judge, and there's another acting, his name is Tony Canatero. He's the new acting chief judge. We want to get him to open that court 5 days a week. It's well past time. I know COVID interrupted our court, but we got to get that court open and operated. I'm chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee. So it is in large part my responsibility to push them as hard as I can, which I have been trying to do. Finally, I want to just acknowledge my colleagues who are collecting items for the asylum seekers, the borough president and the council members. I've been working with the New York City Immigration Coalition in connection with that. You know, there's a lot of young families, pregnant women who are part of this group, new to New York, and they do need our assistance. So thank you for anything you can do with that. And then I've introduced a couple of bills recently. One is legislation that would require vehicle safety technology, such as intelligent speed assistance in all automobiles. That helps limit speeding. A lot of higher end or luxury vehicles have this technology standard. We should make it standard for all vehicles sold in the state of New York, and I'm going to be pushing for that. And we got Times Square declared a gun-free zone, and the legislation that addressed the issue of the Supreme Court invalidating our concealed carry law. I fought successfully for the only geographic designation in that legislation, which is if you carry a concealed weapon and you get a license for it, you cannot saunter into Times Square with one of those. That I think is a good step to making folks in that area feel comfortable, including all those tourists. And then finally, another piece of legislation is my bill to facilitate federal money for violence prevention programs. These are programs that are supported by gun advocacy groups like Everytown for Gun Safety and the Brady Center. They're community-based violence prevention programs where they work with hospitals to interrupt the cycle of violence. For example, when there is a lot of gun arrests. And we need federal funding for that, and this legislation would help facilitate it. And then I'll add that it is Gale Brewer's birthday, I understand. I think that should be, I don't know, a West Side holiday, and we should all have the night off. But I guess it's too late for that. Maybe I'll introduce a bill to that effect.
Thanks. We'll get to you soon, Gale, and maybe do something special. Thank you, Senator. Do you have time, a moment for a question, or I know you had to jump?
Of course. No, absolutely.
I want to make sure we get to Courtney, because she had a question last time we didn't get to her. Courtney, do you still have a question?
I do, yeah. So this is a question for Senator Hoylman. You mentioned that these trucks are illegal. I know of at least two. They're often parked by schools. I know of one that's up by 109th and Broadway, and one that's been around 83rd and Broadway. And I've had parents, since I chair the youth education libraries, I've had parents reach out to me about this. My question for you is, I know that, and really it's for all our elected officials, I know that Assembly Member Rosenthal has been working on this. I've been in contact with Councilmember Abreu's office on this. So I know this is an area of concern. I also know that on lots of other issues, part of this is about data collection. So should we be telling folks, should we be telling parents who have concerns to be calling their local precinct, to be putting this in 311? Do we need to be setting a record of how many problems we see on this in order to create kind of a data trail that will help on this issue?
I absolutely think that's advisable. Call the precinct, call 311. These trucks are flat out illegal. Now, if they're not selling the product, I guess it's and they're parked illegally, and some of them I've seen are just shuttered and nothing's happening. But if they're open, operated, and selling illegal product, they're not licensed to do any of this, Courtney. So yeah, I'd call the precinct, I'd call 311, I'd call your local elected official, and make it known that this is an illegal activity happening in plain sight. Enough of the tolerance of this, of this activity that is really going to undermine the whole intention, the spirit, and the letter of the law behind our legalization of cannabis. I'd like to ask a question.
If I may I ask a question of the senator?
Robert, we'll get you. We have a couple people. Courtney, did you?
That's it. Thank you.
Great, of
Thank-
course.
thank you.
Roberta, Beverly, and then Robert.
Okay.
But let's all move swiftly.
Brad, first, congratulations on your primary win.
Thank you.
The Midtown Manhattan Court was something that we wanted to put on our budget priorities. Beverly and I have been working on the capital expense budget priorities. And so can I call your office tomorrow and get some information on that so we can
Oh boy, we would love that. Thank you very much. And that's much appreciated.
it's very important to us. You know, we appreciate all the work that you've been doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roberta. I understand the city council is having a hearing on problem-solving courts, which is a fantastic idea.
We reached out to Gale's office on this, but you know, it is something that's as important to both the precincts and whatever. But I wanted to recommend to everybody on the board, 311 data is so important. I have a 311 app on my phone, and I recommend to everybody, if you have a problem, whether it's rats, whether it's a truck selling illegal marijuana, whatever it is, because one of the things that we are able to do is through Beta NYC and through many other apps, we're able to track 311 data. And so we look to see where the problems are. And then we call people like our Senator Brad Hoylman and our council member Brewer and our borough president, Mark Levine. And we say, look, there's 100 complaints at 88th Street about rats. You know, what are you going to do about it? So every app on their phone and tell all your friends and neighbors and anybody to dial 311.
Okay. Thanks, Roberta. So we have just promised that we only give one more question. Beverly, you're up.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
I'm sorry, and Robert. Go ahead, Beverly.
Yeah, I had also wanted to talk about the Midtown Court and to get your sense of what the barrier is. Is it just political will, or is it staffing? Is it money? What are the constraints? Because the lack of ability to promptly adjudicate low-level crime is what's feeding and driving the recidivism, the shoplifting, all of the other things that we've been experiencing in the district. And it seems that the Midtown Court would be an obvious solution to a lot of that. So where is the problem?
Thank you.
From your
I think the office, let's start at the highest level. The Office of Court Administration, in my humble opinion, look, I'm the chair of the Judiciary Committee, so I know the third branch of government, the judiciary, pretty well as just about anybody in elected office. They have been in disarray. It's a sad fact. COVID compounded what I think was already some dissension among their ranks, some dysfunction among their operations. COVID compounded that. Secondly, when it comes to money, we've given them every penny they've asked for. We want to give them more money. You have to remember, Beverly, that the court system actually agreed to a 3% budget cut at the behest of then Governor Cuomo. Now, why were they cutting their own budget when they have needs like problem-solving courts? I have no idea. But we asked them those questions, and they said they wanted to show efficiencies in their court system. I think trying to show efficiencies in the dispensation of justice is not the right approach. So we've chastised them on that front. Believe me, we're going to be asking that question on the next series of budget hearings. But third, they do claim it's staffing issues. They say, been unable to hire new court clerks and other officers. I guess it's the same shortages you hear across the city, whether it's our precincts or our courts. They can't hire people for whatever reason. Maybe it's the great resignation or whatever they're calling it that has resulted in people not wanting to return to work, but they've got to figure out a way to get these courts open. The public is demanding it. And thank you. You articulated the reasons, I think, very well why we need this court open.
Thank you. And Robert, you're up.
Thank you. Senator, thank you very much. And I look like a wild and crazy guy, but I'm not. I live in a balcony building, and several times a day, not for long duration, mind you, there is heavy marijuana use wafting into my window, and I really don't want it. Now, is there a difference if you're smoking on your balcony in your home as opposed to being on the street? So what are we up against here?
Well, you need to look at your management, and if it's a private building, what the regulation is around smoking, and whether that is permitted or not. So it comes down to that, whether your management company is permitting smoking of whether it's cannabis or tobacco.
Okay, I think I find it interesting. Thank you very much for that. I think I'll be laughed at, but I think it's worth the shot because it's really quite annoying. I'll tell you the truth. Thank you.
And I think it would be annoying if it was tobacco smoke too. So I share, and when it comes to public spaces, the laws around cannabis and tobacco smoke are now uniform, at least by New York State standards. So if you can't smoke cannabis in a public, tobacco in a public park, you can't smoke cannabis in a public park. But again, enforcement is the key here. And as we've seen with the trucks and the cannabis shops, there's a lack of enforcement. So, the status quo persists.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate your time and joining us. And next, of course, she'd be on our Community Board 7 meeting on her birthday. And if I say too much, I know she'll get very angry, but wishing you a very, very, very happy birthday.
Thank you. Taking up too much time.
I know, you can't wait for me to stop it.
Exactly.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Shut up.
Okay, I'm done.
Good.
You've got the floor.
Thank you very much. All right, so on terms of education, I think actually the schools are hurting. I think Courtney might agree more than any other aspect of our society right now. And I'm nervous about how they're going to open and so on. So in terms of the budget, the city council tried really hard to get some of that 600 million rollover. We've not been successful. We even did a resolution today that passed the city council asking for data, the money to be rolled over. It didn't happen. So I will say, however, I think this is what happened is that the appeals, because every school had to appeal. And I got the list today of what the city District 3 schools got. In other words, it's not new money. All they did was be able to keep the money so that they could keep the teachers. So for instance, at PS 87, which had a huge, perhaps excess teachers, they got $802,000 to pay for most of the teachers. It's not all, to be honest with you. And like 199 got $707,000, and it goes on for that. So I have the whole list and I will share it with you. So I think what DOE is doing is saying we're gonna go with your appeals quickly, and then you'll have your teachers. But I can tell you the arts money is not there. There's dual language money that's not there. And it's very tense for the principals. And I don't know if everybody got it. I'm just looking at District 3. So I also met with Superintendent Samuels, who I'm sure you will meet with. He's excellent. He lives in the community. And there's lots of things we're going to work on together. On September 8th, the first day of school, we're going to flyer. We have a list of some of the things that parents might be interested in, and we're going to flyer at all the schools. You're welcome to join us. And I want to thank Mark Diller, who comes to every single meeting regarding the schools, and it is appreciated. I'm also going to set up some meetings with NYCHA and the school principals. They need to work together, particularly those schools that are near NYCHA development. And I could go on and on about the schools. I'm still worried about class size. We'll see what happens in Albany. Brad Hoylman knows in terms of what the governor does or doesn't sign. But even between now and then, those classes are still going to be too large. Congestion pricing. Thank you, Max, for organizing the Zoom on the issue. I thought it was very helpful. It helped me in my testimony, which I will send you. But I think we have lots of work to do. It's a high priority in terms of my phone calls. I don't know if residential parking is good or bad. We have a paper that we did when I was borough president. It's very complicated. Lincoln Square Bid did a wonderful analysis of the parking garages. Thank you very much in the area. I think we need an ongoing task force with perhaps Board 6, Board 8, any community board that is on the 60th Street line. I'm swamped with phone calls, and I'm sure you are. People need information, and it's still not clear. I'm very sorry that Christine Berthay from Board 4 didn't get on the decision-making task force, because I think she would have helped us. Only Carl Weisbrod, and he's from Roosevelt Island, is from Manhattan. So I don't know if they understand our problem. So anyway, congestion pricing. Asylum seekers, you've heard a lot. The main issue for me, and I think others, is the working papers. I've been to the several times to the Port Authority in the morning. They are eligible for parole, which is a horrible term because it doesn't mean what we mean. It means that they're eligible to work, but they need federal working papers. And it can take normally a month, but it's now 9 months, 6 months. The feds have got to increase the speed and get rid of the backlog. So I've talked to Schumer, Gillibrand, written letters, Congressman Nadler, everybody's trying. I think this is, if you want to think of a resolution that would help, working papers, backlog, go away. That would help more than anything else. So I suggest that's where I'm focused in terms of the asylum seekers. I know we talked to Max about Con Ed and the Hudson River concern. It was quite an article in the New York Times. If you didn't see it, you should look for it. Board 4 is doing a hearing. Max can discuss if we're going to participate with them, but people are concerned. Con Ed said, not true, this isn't true, that's not true. I don't know, but I do think it's a concerning article. In terms of NYCHA and the testing of the water, I can tell you that it has created a huge concern, not only for the development, Reese, in the Lower East Side, but all developments. People are concerned, how's my water? And so we're going to do a hearing because there was a lot of sort of whistleblower. I said, she said, when did you say it? How did you say it? Who said it? And meanwhile, people are drinking this water, and now they have no water. They only have water from a bottle. So NYCHA handled it badly. I don't know whether DEP also handled it badly. The Times, the newspapers are not clear. And we're going to do a hearing in oversight and investigation with the Public Housing Committee. And I think all development should be tested. That's something that I feel very strongly about. Just generally in terms of NYCHA, in my district, we had the 75th anniversary of Amsterdam houses. It was very exciting a few weeks ago. We were very pleased that the majority leader of the state Senate, Andrea Cousins, attended because she grew up there. And also we're going to pay a lot of attention to the packed rad at Wise. In terms of our district office, we're open every day, masks and COVID, people come by all the time. We have a volunteer on Mondays focusing on this, SCREE and SHE, and my God, there's so many people who need help. Just generally, people need help. It's New Yorkers are in trouble. I will say right now, I've never seen the kinds of challenges that people are feeling. It's all, I think, a lot of it based obviously on COVID. People are really, really anxious. We try to address as many problems as they can. We have something called Council Stat, which is similar to your new program that you were talking about for keeping track of constituents. So if we want to share it anytime, we'd be glad to do that. In terms of the community issues, you talked about the smoke shops. We have a list from the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection of all the legal shops, smoke shops in Community Board 7 or in Council District 6. We'd be glad to share it. And just because they're legal on a piece of paper doesn't mean that they're doing the right thing at that moment. So I walked the whole district with the Commissioner of Consumer Affairs. We did get one truck towed. It is possible. It's not easy. And whether, some of these products have CBD in them, but and not cannabis, and they can be sold. It's really hard to know who is breaking the law and who isn't. So I've gone to a lot of them, introduced myself and said, do not break the law, because if you do, this is not a community that takes that lightly. But I do have the list of who has a license from the Department of Consumer Affairs. I also had a table the other night, and I want to thank Doug Clavin for showing up at 71st and Broadway, that is a block that has so many issues. It's got cleanliness, garbage, drugs, motor bikes, e-bikes parked all over the place. It just goes on and on. And we arrived, there were 120 people waiting for me at the table. Just to give you an idea, they had lists and envelopes and typed out things. And, you know, I'll share them because we all need to work on them together. That's the block that has, you know, challenges, but they had issues from congestion pricing to, you know, problems on 72nd Street. And I think 95th and Broadway and 95th and Amsterdam, something similar, and we're all trying to deal with them as best we can. We want to do a task force on, if I get one more call or complaint about e-bikes and nobody following the rules of the road. I know that Central Park Conservancy is working. Raina knows better than I, but I believe there's a task force that's going to be taking place in the park. And I think we need to collaborate with them, the streets, Riverside Park, on that whole issue without getting into it too deeply. I did a nighttime tour with the Commissioner of Sanitation. We walked the whole district. Obviously, we saw rats. We saw places. She did clean up the papaya on 72nd and Broadway, which was really bad outside of their storefront. And, you know, so we had a whole bunch of challenges. I will say that the number, if you look at the 311, like everyone else, I look at the data, the complaints are down. 2021 complaints about sanitation were 8,000, and year to date, they're about 23,000. So there are a lot less complaints. I think the twice a day picking up will help, but we still need containers, put the garbage out at the right time, and please compost. We're one of the few places in the whole city where compost is allowed. And yeah, I can't get the numbers up. We're not even high. I think we're 3rd out of 7th or maybe 4th out of 7th, Bax may know. And of course the rats are a constant problem. The other issue that we hear about all the time are the Amazon trucks and the Fresh Direct trucks, something that we try to move them around. I don't know that's the right thing to do, but we do. I want to say in terms of horse carriages, I do not support the horses, I will tell you, but I'm not supportive of putting electric vehicles back in the park when it was my bill that got the cars out of the park. So this is a whole challenging issue that is ongoing, and you may not hear about it, but I do. I have been complaining like you about the construction at the schools. Thank you very much for bringing it up. 166 and Joan of Arc. We have letters. I do not get a good answer from school construction, and we're going to keep pushing. But we have been complaining for over a year now, to be honest with you. West 94th Street bricks, I want to work with you. I do think we need to, I love them, but they need to be smoothed out. It was done at the meat packing district perfectly. In that case, DOT did do it. So it's not that they can't, it is expensive. But we got to figure out something because you really could trip. It's beautiful, but not if it's looking in its current condition. We are working on, one of the big issues is the catalytic converter in terms of legislation. I don't know if you've heard this, but everybody who has a certain kind of car is likely to get there within seconds, their catalytic converter stolen. It's like, it just goes. And it's all over the city. So we have some bills to try to stop that, just so you know. We are also working on the restaurants are coming up very soon, and probably Andrew Ridgey knows all about this. My understanding, the city council might propose that from April to October, you can have what I would call a roadway restaurant, but it has to be something that can be taken apart. At the same time, your outdoor cafe, which would be closer to your restaurant, would be much more streamlined. I don't know if it would be less expensive. I hope so. So you wouldn't have to go through so many hoops to have your outdoor cafe right next to your restaurant. That's the simple version. But that's going to come up very, very soon in the city council. It will mean that some of the large roadways will have to be changed dramatically so that they wouldn't be like a house, to be honest with you. Times Square, we'd heard about this earlier. That also is going to come up and be voted on soon. I think it's 40th to 53rd Street, 6 to 8. That's the area that's a sensitive area, hopefully where people will not be walking around with guns. Let's hope. I don't know who's going to do the oversight. I have a committee hearing on September 9th on a Friday, oversight investigations on the issue that I am really concerned about, which is the state of the municipal workforce. Numbers are huge in terms of vacancies. Worse than ever. Very hard to get a fire department. You have a new building, daycare center, restaurant. Andrew probably knows this. Good luck in getting an inspection. Same thing if you have an affordable housing project you want to get it signed off on. Good luck to get HPD to have a timely sign off. And I could go through buildings department, etc. It's way down and people don't want to work for the city. I could give you some of the reasons. I think some of it is no virtual. You could go work for, you know, a company that has virtual 1 day a week. Why should I work for the city? So it's on. And the retirees are just going by the minute because people are retiring based on the boomers. So it's a big challenge. Let's see how the hearing goes. I will be very interested. In terms of upcoming events, September 7th, we're doing our monthly housing clinic. People who have housing issues can then, with God of Riverside and us, virtually get an attorney. September is a National Literacy Month. And so we're going to have a book drive. People can drop off books for children at our office. And then we're going to work with JCC in October and give them out. I mentioned about September 8th at the schools. September 13th from 3:30 till 6 at Dinosaur Playground in Riverside Park. We will be announcing this and circulating it widely through our media and newsletter. We're going to have whoever wants to come and learn about what they would like to see at Dinosaur Playground, sort of what Shelley and others did at Bloomingdale. We need to have some input. I got with Helen's assistance when she left almost $7.5 million to renovate this playground. So it's fully funded. So we got to do it right. And the same thing with the playground that is the Saul Bloom playground. We're going to do that on the 20th, 3:30 to 6. And the same issue. We're all fully funded. We need to have input from the community. September 16th with Danny O'Donnell and you, we're doing a Rat Academy, which obviously people are interested in. And you should know that on October 2nd on 89th Street, Valley Hispanico is unveiling their street sign, co-naming the street, and then a big block party, which is fabulous. In terms of the budget, participatory budgeting is coming up. It's going to start September 12th. It'll go to November 12th. In terms of project idea submissions, obviously, if you want to participate and volunteer, let us know. We'd be glad to work with you. All the projects last year that were highlighted are going to be funded, from trees to other topics that people are interested in. Schedule C has a listing of all the things we have funded. And then September 29th, the City Council will be voting on the list of initiatives that are getting funded. Again, a lot of the nonprofits on the West Side incredibly interested in these topics. I want to just mention the e-bike batteries. We've been working on this with NYCHA and others. We met with all the delivery people in the city. So they are concerned about it because they need to get to work, but they need to have a battery that doesn't cost a lot of money and it doesn't blow up as they plug it in. This is huge. I mean, 79 people have been injured and 4 have died this year or last year. 2 maybe this year and 4 last year. People die. And we've got to find a way to plug them in. There is a request to have a charging station on the Upper West Side. It's not easy to find a place. I have some suggestions that I brought to NYCHA and DOT's attention, but I can tell you it's not an easy thing to solve. The bike and the battery have to be coordinated. A lot of the bikes come illegally and then the battery comes illegally, and before you know, you got a fire. So something to think about. Lead exposure, we wrote to lots of different agencies asking them to do a whole lot better, particularly in the private buildings, because believe it or not, NYCHA's done a good building. The numbers of kids in private buildings with lead is up. And it's because I think same old problem, there's not enough investigation, there's not enough city agencies paying attention to it, and there's no way that one child in this city should have any exposure to lead. We did a tree survey of all the trees on the West Side where there are tree pits that are vacant, and we hope that we will have some filling of those trees. But it's a wonderful report. If you need a copy, let me know. We're going to work on soldiers and sailors. That's the monument at 89th Street. We're going to put together a task force with you and others and try to get some federal money. I know that Senator Gillibrand is interested, Congressman Nadler is interested. It's about a $50 million hit. but there's no way that, I mean, it is possible to get money for this. Obviously, I'm still working on West Park Presbyterian Church. We're waiting to hear what the hardship decision is from Landmarks Preservation Commission. I want to thank the board. I know it was very controversial, but I want to thank everybody for those who voted in support in particular. And then finally, I just want to say, get our newsletter. I don't usually say how well we do things, but our newsletter is phenomenal. If you're not signed up, I can't make sure that you know about everything. And thank you very much.
I hope you have some time to celebrate your birthday.
Hey, can we all sing happy
Happy
birthday?
birthday.
To you. Happy birthday.
Okay, enough of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Gale. I have one quick question, then we'll let you.
Happy birthday.
I'm at work right now, very happy. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Actually, I have a question.
We get appointed by our voices, apparently. Arena, one question, and then we'll let the.
Two things, please, Andrew. Gale, firstly, is I would encourage you and all the elected officials to reach out to partnership for the New York City Partnership, and to ABNY to encourage all of the corporations to get involved in the asylum, preparing hygiene kits for the asylum seekers, because a lot of companies are returning to the office. And I think it would, if I think Kathy can send out a message to all of the members of the partnership to start preparing, gift packages, hygiene kits. We do it at the company where I work. We do it primarily in response to disaster relief. So I think there would be interest among companies in the city to prepare these kits for the asylum seekers. I just wanted to say one thing about the smoke shops that I haven't heard on the meeting tonight. And that's that there's been no conversation about the building managers and the landlords of these buildings where the illegal sale of pot is occurring. And I think that there needs to be pressure on the building owners and the landlords that are leasing these storefronts, because I know of at least 3 of them that are absolutely selling pot. I'm going to get those addresses to you, Gale, but I think that we need to lean on the managing agents. They're the ones leasing leasing the space. Yep. And what I understand is going on is that these guys are moving in and taking up as much of the real estate as they can in expectation for legalization. And so whether you have an equity program or not, if you can't find a space to operate because the smoke shops have taken over the available retail space, you won't be able to sell. So it's a very clever way to, they're getting in, and then the ones that can't wait are illegally selling. And I just think there needs to be pressure on property owners and managing agents that are leasing to these smoke shops. And by the way, these smoke shops are near houses of worship and near schools. And we don't even allow liquor stores. We don't even allow liquor stores to be as close to houses of worship and schools as these smoke shops. And there's one like literally around the corner from Joan of Arc on Amsterdam Avenue, right next to Dunkin' Donuts. So if you're a kid coming out of school and you want to go get a donut, there's a smoke shop right next door that can entice you to go in there and buy some gummies. Just saying.
They're all selling potato chips with CBD in it and also candy. Everybody's got candy. It's amazing.
It's a front.
Thank you, Gale. Thank you, Arena. Appreciate your time. Happy birthday again.
All right, enough, Andrew.
The work thing with the asylum seekers is so important. We can talk more about it, but that's going to be so important. And I just would say with the cannabis issue, I know we've discussed some of it with some members. It's about enforcement. Of course, it's going to undermine the legal licensing structure. But on the flip side as well, one of the purposes of legalization was to stop criminalizing people. So in a sense, how do you actually do real enforcement of the whole unauthorized structure without, in a sense, recriminalizing people, which the legalization. So yeah, it's tough, but I hear you. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Assembly Member Rosenthal. Nice. Oh,
Hello.
hello. Good evening. Thanks for hanging with us.
Yes. Now I'm going to turn off my camera because there is a lag.
Okay.
And it's weird. All right. So you have sat through 2 electeds reports. So I am not going to repeat anything they said. Because I too have been working on all those issues, but I know you've heard a lot. The one thing that I've been working on as well, though, is the smoke shops. And, right around my office on 72nd Street, there are a lot of smoke shops. I got some of them inspected, and one of them, aside from the cannabis and all that, is that they are selling to underage people. And if you know, over the years, I've worked so hard on, raising the age to 21 of buying vape products and cigarettes, and keeping kids from being hooked on vape products, because Juul actually was just ordered to pay hundreds of millions of dollars because they lured children into developing an addiction to nicotine. And so that's one of the things the inspectors found, is that they were selling to underage people. The other thing, though, is, and I've talked to various shop owners, they get their products from California. So I was worried they were just picking them off the street from somewhere. They actually get a lot of their products from California, but it is totally illegal for them to sell it. Now, the mayor and NYPD have long said they do not want to, what you, Andrew, said, criminalize people who get involved with illegal drugs of the magnitude of marijuana. And so the mayor said, I'm not going to bother with this kind of thing. So, and I think that's also the stance of NYPD. So we have to find a balance where, there are no licenses out there. So anything they sell in terms of marijuana is not legal. At some point, there will be licenses, and it just opened up for people who've been adversely affected by the drug war can apply. There has to be some balance, and that's something I'm trying to work on once and see once the licenses are indeed given out. But there are also way too many shops, and way too many that are, each community board gets a certain number, and we've got more than our share in CB7 and CB4. And that's another bureaucratic mess with the state and the city not communicating. So that's something else I'm trying to clear up. And I know everybody is working on it, but there seem to be too many licensees and exceeding what's permitted by the city in terms of tobacco and e-cigarette retail dealers. In terms of abortion, as you all know, the horrible Dobbs decision has now criminalized in 11 states and 15 more whose trigger laws have to go into effect, where it will be totally illegal for a pregnant person to have an abortion, even if it's rape or incest or other conditions, ectopic pregnancies. It is just horrific. So here in New York State, which, as the governor and all of us say, we're a safe haven for people who need reproductive health care that is illegal in other states. We passed a 5-bill package in June. I had 2 of the bills to protect medical providers here in New York State who perform legal in New York procedures on people who are coming here from out of state. And, you know, you think that's so far-fetched, but look what we've seen in places like Texas. They empower, like the East German Stasi, they empower neighbors and friends and community members to sue people who've gotten abortions. It's just horrific. And so we need to protect our people here. We passed laws on extradition. They can't be extradited, things like that. I've just introduced a new bill that would allow for telemedicine. So this is very controversial, but not everyone can afford to travel to New York or to other states where reproductive health care is legal. And so what's important is that our physicians and other healthcare providers can meet through telehealth with women in other states where that care is illegal. So I'm working with a coalition of reproductive health groups on that legislation, and it's something that you know, we're going to need going forward, just because the Supreme Court is really kind of terrible. Okay, I've also talked a lot about education in terms of not talked about it, sent letters, spoke to people about we need to get that money back for the kids. So many kids, I've talked to so many parents whose kids have suffered emotionally and, you know, as well as educationally. They're so behind, and now's not the time to cut schools' budgets. I'm having a shred day, most popular day of the year for some people, in November. I'm having a mammogram day in October, and I'll soon be having a flu shot day. So that's all I'm going to talk about, because I know you've heard enough. And you can reach me in my office at any time. So happy birthday, Gale, and good to see all of you, even though you can't see me. Thank you.
Nice to hear you, Assembly Member. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Have a nice evening. And then, yeah, I don't see any questions. So thank you. I see we have Hannah Weinerman from Congressmember Nadler's office, and then we're going to get back to our business session. Hannah, are you still with us?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you. Our summer was a little busier than anticipated, but we are ready to go. Since we last met, the House passed a few bills of note in July. So Congressman Nadler's bill, the Respect for Marriage Act, it passed with bipartisan support that would enshrine equal marriage into federal law. The House also passed the assault weapons ban of 2022 and 2 bills enshrining abortion access and the right for pregnant people to travel across state lines to obtain an abortion. Also, President Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act into law last month. If you have any questions about the bill, feel free to reach out to our office. I'm not going to take time to talk about it right now. The House reconvenes next week, so I'll have a more of a legislative update come next month. But if you have any questions between now and then, feel free to contact me at our office. We've been getting a bunch of questions about student loan forgiveness that was announced by President Biden in August. So I just want to flag a few pieces of the program. So it is, if you earn less than $125,000 annually as an individual or less than $25,000 for households, you're eligible for cancellations of up to $10,000 in federal student loans. And if you received a Pell Grant, it's $20,000. And these are eligible for loans for current students and graduates with undergraduate, graduate, and Parent Plus loans. The loans had to be awarded by June 30th, 2022. But they are included in the cancellation policy. So if you pay, and important to note, if you paid off your student loans recently, you may be eligible for a refund. So the federal government announced the first student loan payment pause in March 2020. So if you've made payments during that pause, the Department of Education says that you can request a refund with your loan servicer. So when do all of these go into effect? So the cancellation for about 8 million borrowers will go automatically because the Department of Education already has their income information. But for everyone else, you need to apply for loan forgiveness. That application should be available come October, we know the federal government takes a minute, so it should be available in October, but I will update the board once it's live. And then applications will be open through December 31st, 2023. So we will happily answer any questions, help you walk through the process of the application when it's live. The expected timeline for relief after completing the application is about 4 to 6 weeks. What I'll do is I'll send Max information. There's a good one pager about the student loan program. So I'm happy to send that, and it can be included in the next newsletter. And then the payment pause is also extended. So again, that payment pause that started March 2020 will be extended through the end of the year, and then borrowers will resume payments come January 2023. So again, I know it's a lot of information, but we're happy to answer any questions about it. I know it's been a late night, so I'm going to leave it there. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us through our website at nadler.house.gov, or you can call us at 212-367-7350. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. All right. So that is the end of our elected representative and community session. Thank you, everyone, for jumping forward. And now we are going to jump back, and the goal will be if we can get out of here by 10 o'clock. Should sound good. So we are going to jump back to Preservation Committee, and were we on
number 10?
Yep, 86 Riverside Drive.
That's at West 81st Street. It is for an application for a certificate of appropriateness for a rooftop addition to include an elevator overrun. And I have to correct this. It's a reconstituted marble enclosed stair bulkhead, not glass, and rails surrounding the roof. This is a 4.5-story townhouse in an Elizabethan Renaissance Revival style. And I say that because we disapprove this application largely. It's a beautiful building, just purchased by a single family. It has been empty for 10 years. So no joke, they're going to need a lot. And they said there'll be a lot of work done inside and outside to this building. But what we heard was an application for a rooftop addition to include an elevator overrun, a bulkhead, stair bulkhead, and have railings surround the rooftop. We found that what they wanted to do was so inappropriate to the character of this townhouse, largely because of its bulk, and it was inconsistent with the other similarly designed and constructed townhouses on Riverside Drive and West 81st Street. I think, I thought a little bit about this application, and frankly, it gave me a headache to think about it until I heard what Gale had to say. Then my headache went away. Like I should have a headache about this. But I think they're trying to do a lot in a short amount of time, and they just put too much on their plate and on top of the roof, so to speak. We part of what we do in our job is to look at how a rooftop addition affects the view of the public or from the public, by the public. And as you know, you've probably seen this on rooftops, these orange contraptions, which are there to show the world how much space a rooftop addition will take. And so we look and see how much it affects the public way. And I took a walk around the block. I live on 80th and West End, and I've walked by this building 1,000 times, or maybe more. And I noticed that it was very bulky for the type of architecture it is and for what they wanted to do immediately. So we disapproved this application as inappropriate. We think probably when they go to LPC, they're going to work with LPC on the staff level and on the commissioner level. They'll have to reduce what they're doing here, including pulling back the railings that are around, they want to put around the roof so that it's not as visible to the public way, which would be on the street, across the street at Riverside Park and in Riverside Park. I think that's about it, unless you have a question about any particulars.
Any questions? I don't see any. Ira?
Do we have pictures of the mock-up?
Yeah, I think we do. Mark, do we have that? Yeah, you'll see, you can
They
see.
weren't among the ones that we selected for presentation. Let me pull up the other thing.
Like I said, we don't necessarily disapprove because we can see the mock-up from the public way. But given the style of architecture, it just was completely in your face, unavoidable. And even so, it may not matter because this is a townhouse on Riverside Drive.
Looking at the markups going to change anyone's opinion, or should we just call the question? Is it a material?
If the mock-up is as bad as I think it is, I think it would convince people in the negative.
Okay.
Yeah, well, this is a resolution to disapprove the application.
Okay, well, okay. I just want to make sure we
Yeah.
get a consensus to.
Yeah, so it's to disapprove. Mark is pulling up. Let's go to page. Oh, there we go. Let's solve. You can take a look right now, Mark.
You know, this really kind of gave me a headache because it's too much stacking of program that is really grossly inappropriate. But then it was funny. I started walking, I don't know, maybe because I'm just bored taking the bus or whatever. And I started looking at Riverside Drive. And one of the things that I think we might want to add is remind the Landmark Commission that Riverside Drive has its own skyline. And if you go further back and when the leaves are off the trees and you allow these types of projects to go ahead, what we're going to be seeing in the wintertime are cooling towers, elevator overruns, emergency stairwells, floodlighting, and deck chairs. So I think this is the case that broke the camel's back, and this needs to be looked at seriously and ask the commission to review these kind of projects, which really shouldn't, they shouldn't support them. We needed to send a message loud and clear that maybe one floor and maybe a terrace, but anything over two is not good.
Can you draft something real quick and send it to me, Paige?
Sure.
I'm going to go to
do that.
LPC on this application, but I agree with you.
Okay, I was thinking about why we had such a hard time to say no. And this is just, it's going to be a bad cold. It's going to go right through the neighborhood. Okay, I'll work on that after the meeting.
Any other questions? Oh.
Go ahead. No,
Yeah,
go ahead,
I
Michelle.
do.
I was going to go to Susan, Michelle, unless you want to.
Susan, hi.
Hi, Susan. Nice to see you. You're up.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Excellent. I'm going for the contest of logging in from furthest away. I'm in Seoul, South Korea, and boarding my plane quickly, but I care very much about this item.
Yeah.
This was the single most disingenuous presentation I have ever seen. It was really upsetting to me, and I said something at the committee meeting. The photos of the mock-up were taken very cleverly to show trees blocking as much of it as possible. It was really offensive. There was, in particular, there's just no reason for this, and I would urge everyone to vote against it. I love what Paige said about having some sort of viewing it as if Riverside Drive has its own landscape. I'm in the airport lounge, so I won't talk too long. You can imagine, please approve this disapproval. It's just offensive.
Have fun, Susan.
Thanks for
Can't wait to see you.
Safe travels.
Thanks.
Mark Diller, you're up.
Thanks. To add to this, there's another aspect of the presentation that I didn't actually catch until working on the resolution later, and that is that they build this as if it were just a stair bulkhead and an elevator overrun. But if you take a look, and I can put the slide back up, if you take a look at what's really going on, there's this sloped roof and a well with a roof behind it. And they're infilling all of that in occupiable space and then putting an elevator overrun and a stair bulkhead, which, by the way, is made out of glass and metal, which has no purpose, no place. It's perfectly fine on my apartment building, but it doesn't belong on Riverside Drive. And it certainly doesn't belong on Riverside Drive where it can be seen from the sidewalk. So that plus the railing, which they completely obscured, which would completely interrupt that common line, what I think Paige was talking about, if I understand correctly. There is a common line going from a couple of buildings south of this to this building, turning the corner and going up 81st Street. That's a very unified construction by one of our great West Side architects. And this railing would completely interrupt it. It's like putting a billboard up there. This, I already went past the don't get Mark started, but I think you understand that
We're going to do.
Can I just add one more thing? I'm sorry. It took eagle-eyed Mark Diller to notice that railing. It wasn't until almost before we voted, Mark said, wait a minute, what is that? What is that shadow up there? And when we realized what it was, there was horror. Now I'm really quiet. Thank you.
Thank you. Safe travels. I'll go to Clary and Jay, and then we'll call the question. Clary.
Yeah, I was just going to say in somewhat different words, versions of what Mark and Susan had said, but just to add one, what they just said, but just to add one thing to that, what was very troublesome, and Susan, I think, called it disingenuous or something about this presentation, is they didn't even show us in their presentation the photos of the mock-up. We had to ask for that. And then, as Susan pointed out, it shows with the trees, which kind of obscures the significance of it. But once we saw those photos, that I think was all we all needed if we had not been persuaded already that this was too much, too tall, wrong place, wrong materials, wrong everything. And that's why I think with a single negative vote, the rest of us very strongly voted in favor of disapproving.
Thank you, Clary. Jay, you're up.
Yeah, not having anything to do with the application, but I say this to Michelle and to Kay, in light of Paige's suggestion that we send a letter to LPC expressing various concerns and opinions, it would be inappropriate to send such a letter were it not first presented to the committee for approval or disapproval. So I wanted to make that point. Full disclosure, I was the negative vote in committee against the disapproval. I agree with much of what my colleagues have said. What concerned me at the time was the way in which the meeting was conducted and the attitude towards the applicants, and I thought was inappropriate.
Well, we'll talk about that another time also. And of course, we do this as a committee, not as individuals or as co-chairs.
Thank you. All right, let's call the question.
All right. Although this is a disapproval.
Yes. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye, Robert Hill.
Virtual hands plus Robert is 32. Any other non-virtual hands?
I don't see any. All right, can we please put the hands down? All right, those voting no on the resolution, please raise your hand. I don't see any.
No.
Okay, anyone abstaining?
Four.
Okay. All right, we can put those down, please. Anyone not eligible to vote? I don't see anyone. Can we get a tally, please, Beverly?
32 to 0 to 4 to 0.
Resolution passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Andrew, I'll take the next two.
Excellent. The floor
which
is
are
yours.
number 11 and number 12 on your sheet. And I'll just say to start off that both of these applications are brought in a very different spirit from the one that we had just dealt with. All right, so this is the application for repairing, restoring, replacing windows in the Jeshurun Community House. This is on West 89th Street, at 270 West 89th. Here you have a couple of views. We are largely not dealing with the most visible facade, which has been worked through with a staff level of the Landmarks Preservation Commission. So that's what you see on your left-hand screen there. The one thing I'll point out here is that, well, these windows are being restored very much in kind. They're ballistic. There's ballistic glass, unfortunately, needing to be added to several of the windows on this facade. That will be added on the interior, so it won't impact the visuals from the street. So beyond that, there are a great number of windows in terrible state of disrepair. We felt that we looked through this in great detail, and I also spent time going through the interior and looking at these windows from the inside. So this is a badly needed project. It seems to be handled fairly very sensitively, and so some of the issues are because some of the windows couldn't be replaced exactly in kind because of changes in fire rating and things like that need to be handled a little bit differently. The leaded windows, the cane will be restored. The glass will be largely reused in these beautiful leaded windows, or else replaced in kind. And so there, I mean, there are a great number of windows, and we did consider each one individually, or at least the type of window individually. And so the committee felt this was a worthy and appropriate proposal, and so we voted to support the application as appropriate to the character of the historic district. That's it in a nutshell.
Thanks, Kay. I see Jay, your hand is up.
Yeah, I completely support the application. Just an observation. I think it's a sad state of affairs in our community and the world when part of this application had to be permission to establish bulletproof glass behind these windows.
Thank you, Jay.
Agreed.
Susan?
Full disclosure, I'm a member of B'nai Jeshurun. I get no financial reward whatsoever from having these windows replaced, but I think this is a great project, and I really commend them for taking care of this in a responsible way.
Thank you.
Agreed.
I see no other hands, so let's call the question. All in favor?
Aye, Robert.
Oh, let me add mine.
33 virtual plus Robert is 34.
Put the hands down, please. All right, those voting no on the resolution? I see none.
0.
Any abstaining on the resolution? I see none. Is anyone not eligible to vote on the resolution? I see none. Tally, please.
34 to 0 to 0 to 0.
The resolution passes. Thank you, Beverly.
All right, and I'll take you to the next one. We were very, I guess I would say we felt fortunate to be able to review this application. This is, of course, the illegal hotel that's now been purchased by the Fortune Society. Very well respected and admired nonprofit, which will be moving into our neighborhood. And so the application here concerned two different things. One, converting an existing window on the front facade into a doorway to create a new accessible entrance at the primary facade. So to explain this, yes, thank you, Mark. That is will be the new door to the side. And let me just explain very briefly the reason that they couldn't do an accessibility modification for the main entrance was what you see outlined in red. That's where the existing gas and water connections come into the building, and then through there to feed the rest of the building. And so they made the case for turning this window that's to the left of the main entrance into a door. This is the proposal. The one modification that we suggested and that they agreed to was that the door have some sort of a grilling over it to match the windows on either side. We brought this up, I think it was Jay who came up with that idea, and the Fortune Society representatives, and I think Sherry's on this call, agreed to do that. So that's part A of this proposal.
We have a new drawing to show you if you want to see it.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I think that would be lovely. So maybe we'll figure out how to do that maybe. And so then quickly oh yeah, thank you, Mark. This is great. This illustrates how this is going to work. So people will be able to get in to the building this way through an accessible entrance, and then there'll be a lift to go into the other level. Okay. The other matter concerns the installation of exterior insulation finishing system cladding over existing surfaces on non-primary facades and bulkhead. So we spent a long time looking into this. It needs to be applied to the exterior, and that will necessitate also the adjustment of some of the windows. But the appearance will remain the same. Okay. So I don't know if there are questions about any of these things. We felt like the presentation was very thoughtfully brought to us, and it had been done very responsibly and respectfully to the building, but also in light of how the building's use will be changing in the future. So that is the matter of the Fortune Society, and our committee voted unanimously to support this post.
Thank you, Kay. Michelle, did you have a comment?
I just wanted to say, I thought it was fascinating, that part of the well, the whole thing was fascinating, but that part of the application where they're going to put the insulation on the outside of the building so that they don't lose the space inside the building, so that they could have enough units for the people they want to house, and that would be low income and formerly homeless New Yorkers.
Thank you. Well, I don't see any member questions, so we will call the question.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye, Robert.
Okay.
Everyone up? That's 31 virtual hands plus Robert is 32.
Blanche, yes.
And Blanche, you're a physical hand now, Blanche?
I don't know what I am. I'm just.
All right, so
everything,
33.
33.
All right, can we put the hands down, please? Those voting no on the resolution, please raise your hand. I see no virtual or physical hands. Okay, anyone abstaining on the resolution? I see none. Not eligible. I see none. Blanche, tally please. I'm sorry, Beverly, tally please.
33 to 0 to 0 to 0.
The resolution passes.
Great, thank you very much. I'm turning it back to Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Look forward to this. Thanks. This is number 13780 West End Avenue at West 98th Street. This is an application for a master plan for window replacement, and they want to install through the wall air conditioned unit sleeves. You have seen part of this application in small part back in September 2021 when we approved an application to replace 7 existing windows in a 1/1 double hung configuration in a single apartment. Now the whole building wants to do the same thing, and in addition, install through the wall air conditioning unit sleeves. None of the windows are historic. They were all changed to 1/1 aluminum before a landmark designation. Actually, there are 2 windows in the courtyard that are historic, but they don't count. Well, that's all that counts. The air conditioning units will be installed above the 4th floor because and it will not be installed in any part of the wall that has any ornamentation, any of the terracotta ornamentation. So you can see, Mark, you want to just show them on, this is the West End Avenue side. Those little black boxes underneath the windows. You see the first 4 floors are not, well, it is of decorative form. But the rest is plain brick, except for where they're going to install the air conditioning sleeves. And also on the, oh yeah, you're on West 78th Street, 98th Street, excuse me. So we approved this application for both the window, we did 2 parts, the window replacement and the air conditioning unit sleeves. Both were approved as appropriate. And we hope that now with the generally Landmarks Preservation Commission likes master window plans, and we do too. And we appreciate that they're going to replace these windows with the same kind of windows. These current windows have sort of worn out their welcome. And that's about it, unless anybody has any questions. That's it. Okay. Thank you.
Great.
So shall want to vote on this?
Call the question.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Somebody has a question?
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure.
What will the residents on the first 4 floors do for air conditioning, if anything?
I don't know.
They want it.
I don't know. They may not be residences on the, I don't know. Does anybody from the committee remember that? We should have asked that question, but we didn't.
No one showed up.
Yeah.
I think we know the answer though, which is that where they will not be able to have sleeves because of ornamentation there, presumably if owners choose to put an air conditioning unit at that particular line, which they may not anyway, they may have other options for where and how to do it, they would presumably have window units.
I think that's right.
They currently have window units.
Yeah, throughout the building.
All right, so call the question. All in favor?
Aye, love it, aye.
Okay, we have 30 virtual hands. Robert, are you voting?
Yes, indeed, I'm for.
Okay, so 31. And is there anyone else who is a physical hand?
Blanche, I don't know. Yes.
Okay.
So you're a yes. Okay, that's 32.
All right, can we put the hands down, please? If you're voting no on the resolution, please raise your hand. I see 1. I don't see any physical hands.
1.
Okay, please put the hands down. Anyone abstaining? I see none. Okay, is anyone not eligible? All right, Beverly, tally please.
32 to 1 to 0 to 0.
The resolution passes. We're right at 10, and it looks like, what do we have? One more?
Yes, we do. We have
Okey-dokes.
353 Riverside Drive, West 107, 108th Streets. This is an application that we approved with a recommendation to work with LPC to minimize the volume of the elevator overrun. This is an application, as you can see, a 5-story brick limestone terracotta Beaux-Arts townhouse. Beautiful building. And you can see there's one next to it that's the same. They want to increase the height of the existing hoistway overhead at the chimney to accommodate new overhead machinery to replace the outdated basement traction and drum elevator. So they want this elevator, of which they have this shaft, to go to the roof. Currently, the roof, I understand, is fully landscaped, used by most of the tenants, and accessible by a narrow stairway. The purpose of the elevator overrun to go to the roof is for those tenants who can't quite negotiate the narrow stairway. So all the tenants in the building will have use of the rooftop. And you can see this is on Riverside Drive. And they did the overrun. You can see this picture on the left. It is back about 40 feet. Is that, yeah, 40 feet from the front of the building. And it is similar to the building next to it, although we did hear some community members from the building next to it. And that's why our resolution has a recommendation to work with LPC to minimize the volume and visual impact of the elevator. Any questions?
Yes, a question there, Blanche. Does the elevator currently go, and is it proposed that it does go to the roof?
It does not go to the roof.
And it will not?
And it will go to the roof.
And it will go to the roof?
Yes, hence this brick.
Yeah, that's
bulkhead. This way, everybody can use the roof, and not just those people who can take the elevator to 5 and then have to negotiate a rather narrow stairway.
Okay.
Any questions?
I see Linda Alexander.
One more quick question.
Yes,
Will this make the building, did they mention, will it make it more energy efficient? Because I think a lot of the new construction has to do with greater energy efficiency, with ESG protocols.
I don't know, but I'm gonna go back to what Ira said. If there's a reg that says it has to be energy efficient, then they're gonna have to follow the regs. But
fair enough.
All right. How's that for not an answer, Linda? But I'm gonna note that. And I'm gonna talk to our pros at LPC to find out how we approach energy efficiency.
Thank you. All right, so with that, I see no other questions. Let's call the question.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye, Robert.
sounds like you're taking a vow, Robert.
Taking a what? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I'll check in with you in about a week.
Great.
Aye, aye.
All right. Do we have anyone else other than Robert, Blanche?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, Beverly, I don't know if you're on mute if you were.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
28 plus 2 is 30.
Okay, let's put the hands down, please. Anyone voting no on the resolution? See 2 virtual hands.
I see 2.
Okay, you can put those down. All right, anyone abstaining?
I see 2.
Not eligible. Oh, sorry, put those down. Anyone not eligible?
0.
All right, and our tally?
30 to 2 to 2 to 0.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Kay.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
All right. Well, with that, it looks like we made it through, folks. Thank you. It's been a pleasure and an honor, this interim chair role. And before I go, I just think anyone with kids or guardians of kids or aunts and uncles, wishing all the kids best going back to school. Big week.
Okay, big question. Where was everybody when we were trying to sing happy birthday to Gale? That was the one time you could unmute.
We did sing.
We did sing on mute.
We did sing.
We did.
Not everyone has the same pipes as you.
He doesn't
Linda.
like it.
You should be grateful we were singing on
Yeah,
mute.
she was,
Doesn't like
you're
it.
getting these.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I've known her since 77. It's okay.
Listen, and just a reminder, just to confirm.
Just remind everyone that the next meeting is
Yes,
Monday
that's what I was
night.
gonna say,
Is a
Elizabeth.
Monday night, not a Tuesday night.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Liz, I was gonna announce that, but Elizabeth, you can go. I won't speak over.
No,
you.
no, no, Andrew, you're the chair, you're the interim chair. I just want to make sure. since
So,
we have
yes, so
on the call.
is that correct? October's meeting, Monday, October 3rd.
That is correct.
Okay, and Max, maybe we can send just a email notice out to the board, just so everyone has a notification again. That would be excellent.
Okay,
Andrew,
I wanna add one more thing, Elise. I want to add one more thing because everybody's interested in what's going on with, the smoke shops and all.
Yes.
Again, the Office of Cannabis Management will, after our 12 applications, I've given up a big client meeting that night. We'll be presenting, and so anybody who's interested in discussing this with the agency that's in charge of it should be at BCI next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Clary, I see you
Yeah,
have your hand
I
up.
just wanted to ask you and Christian, Andrew, to make sure that, or whether you have made sure that we don't have any members of the public who've been signed up and want to speak to us tonight.
I do not see anyone left. Christian?
We gave every opportunity to everybody that signed up.
Thank you for checking though. Shelley?
Yeah, there will be a amazing meeting next Monday night, joint HHS with housing. We're going to have the mayor's spokesperson on his plan for housing and homelessness, together with deputy commissioners from DHS, Department of Homeless Services, unbelievably, and from the HPD, the deputy commissioner of HPD. So it's going to be a very informative night with an opportunity to ask all the questions you have or will have that evening. So we encourage everyone to attend.
Thank you, Shelley. Sonia Garcia.
Hi, folks. Linda, I have a question for you. When is BCI?
BCI is on the 14th, the night that I can't go to a client event. BCI is on the 14th. It is it's on a Wednesday night. I hope you manage to make it. Even if you can make it for, towards the end, because that's when they'll be presenting, because the first thing.
Okay, I think I might. I have another meeting, but I'll be able to, hey.
I know that one.
Sonia, this is Blanche. I just want to say welcome back.
Thank you.
For the second or third time.
I've been on all night long, except that I don't know how to put my face on.
We're going to have a discussion.
Join the club. Ask Linda.
So I've been in the dark all night long, but that's okay.
Linda,
but I've been here.
Well, thank you, everyone. It is 10:10. Glad you were with us, even though we didn't see you. This meeting is great to see everyone. The meeting is adjourned.
Good night.
Andrew,
Thank you, Andrew.
I'm so happy to see everyone after this summer.